What is going on, Chris? You're muted, buddy.
There we go. Fixed it. Yeah.
Hey, quick question: are we live on Twitch? Because I'm not seeing us live on Twitch right now.
Yeah, I just started it as the countdown ended. I forgot to push the button. I'm tired.
Whoopsie.
But yeah, we should be good to go.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. A little bit of a delay on that one.
Excuse the shaved face, everybody. He had a midlife crisis and decided to shake shit up a little bit, but
No, it's unacceptable. Put it back on.
Welcome to our Thursday show, the unusual show. I'm Daddy Tarzan. This is wrong side. This is my friend Chris Claybeard. How are we guys doing?
Doing
Chris, how's your Thursday going, man? How's it going?
It's going all right. It's been real busy. A little bit more busy than I wanted it to be, but it's all right.
You want to give us a quick rundown of what's going on in this very moment right now? What we're up to?
As far as Tales of Arden, well, we have finished the first major.
Not as far as Tales of Arden, but what exactly we're doing here now. Right now.
So yeah, today's a little bit of a different Thursday for us. We have some cast members out and a little bit of change in schedules here and there. So still wanted to kind of meet up with those that could and just kind of talk about. So we're doing a TBD Talks episode. We haven't done one of those in a very long time. So me and Tarzan are going to chew the cud and maybe ask some questions. I've got something over here that I'll ask in just a few minutes and see if that's something that we want to kind of play around with. But yeah, we're just going to hang out, have some fun, talk about some D&D stuff. If there's any questions about Tales of Arden lore that you're curious about, put those in the chat. We'll be happy to answer any of those if we can.
All right. And you did bring up a good point. Being that we are kind of in between major plot points at this point in time, what exactly is Tales of Arden currently up to? Like, what's the current trajectory for the crew of Tales of Arden?
That's entirely up to you guys. We're in Embershard, and we just finished a real big portion of our story arc. Found our third piece of the Paragon, and I believe your players don't know, or your characters don't know this really, or most of them don't. Anyways, there's one that does, but there are 3 more, I believe. So that's kind of the goal from here on out.
William's not aware of that for sure. Yeah. William's definitely not aware of that. Godey, I believe, is probably the only person that would have the mental capacity of remembering that type of information, but he is now gone.
Right. There's so much, and he's just gone. I'm excited to see how the party figures out what to do next without Godey, because that's been like the things like, Godey, what do we do next? He's like, go this way. So yeah, he's been to see where the party goes when the North Star isn't there. Like,
he's definitely been he's been the guiding star for this adventuring party for sure. So William is going to have to do some serious adapting, probably start shouldering more of that burden on himself as opposed to relying on other people, which is going to be a bit of a fucking change of pace for him. But he is trying to rediscover himself and bring back that personification that he had prior to his exile from the Sovereign, and also bring back that imagery that his son Grayson had of him
Yeah.
prior to the knowledge of who he is now.
So
So
with that kind of leads me to, I guess, my first question is, how is William going to use the party to his own ends, or is he more concerned with sticking with what Godi was going on?
So that's the situation with William. He's very pragmatic. He he's not willing, like he's not explicitly willing to sacrifice these people, but if it came down to the bigger picture, he's going to make that sacrificial play. It's just it has the cost has to outweigh the benefit in order for him to pull that type of maneuver off. Because as of right now, every single member of this party has some level of contribution to the overall picture, and in order to justify sacrificing that much firepower in the moment, the cost has to outweigh the benefit. Or the benefit has to outweigh the cost. So I've skilled this and framed this character to be a very pragmatic and militaristic individual. Granted, I wanted to humanize him in a sense with the drama arc that we've established so far with him and Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of pull him away from that militaristic mindset that he's grown accustomed to, and make him be more apprehensive about sacrificing his subordinates. So, and I feel like that's been fairly achievable so far with how the story's progressed so far. And I absolutely love William's story arc so far. It's been a blast, and it's very what's the word that I'm looking for? Well, Michael has said it before. Not contentious.
Cathartic.
Cathartic. There we go. Very cathartic. Because it forces me to look more inward in myself. Because I did design this character to be more of a darker reflection of myself.
Is that how you make all of your characters? Like, is there visibly something of you in every single one? Or do you go about it like, what's going to be the most fun at the table? What's going to be the most fun mechanically? What's going to be the most fun thematically? Like, how do you go about, or does it just depend on the situation?
It is very situational. I pride myself on being the adaptive character. If you don't have a lead character, I will be more than happy to take on that responsibility. If you are in need of somebody to be more of a support character, I'm more than happy to take on that responsibility. So I tend to gravitate towards filling in needed roles.
Yeah. Well, let's pivot that question into maybe like a creative, like, where do you gain your inspiration to make your characters? I guess we could go from that direction.
Okay. So William was explicitly derivative of my military career while I was in the military. I thank you, El Ravager, for the raid. Appreciate you, buddy. I designed him to be a black mirror of myself, essentially. I ended my military career on a good note, honorably discharged and whatnot. But I can't help but find myself imagining, had I let some of those moments that could have possibly broken other people break me, how my career could have turned out. And I wanted to take that notion, that thought that I had of what could possibly be, and put it into this character, which is is essentially slightly depressing to play, but also very rewarding. Like
I think it gives you a perspective. I'd be like, man,
yeah,
you're playing out this imaginary version of what could have been, and then giving you that perspective of, well, it's not, and I have it so much better than that. I'm so much better off with the way things turned out in reality.
Right. And on top of that, I've given him my resiliency. So that's where this newfound rebellion that he's starting to display towards Caliban, and this new resharpened leader that is now stepping forth out of William. That part of him is explicitly derivative from me. Is like I pride myself on the fact that when I commit to something, I commit. Like it's 100% all or nothing. When I got out of the military, I decided that day I was quitting all tobacco products, and I did. It was a bitch, but I did it the day of. When I decided to take an entire year off of fucking drinking, I did it, and no slip ups and whatnot. I went the entire year, and I'm drinking now. But you know,
hey, the year's over.
I made right. The year's over. I made the challenge.
You learned like stuff, and you're able to, you know.
But that I channeled that resiliency into William. Is that like yes, he is a bit of a piece of a shit. He's a giant piece of shit, but he has those redeeming qualities, and that's what I wanted to show in him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So, having found this newfound leadership quality that is re-emerging from William, where do you think he and the crew are headed? Without Godey's knowledge of Paragons and not being one of the original individuals that met the ancient dragon at the beginning of the campaign, who set this whole party on their quest, he's kind of just flying by the seat of his pants. He has these artifacts, and he's like, these are super powerful. They do something.
Yeah,
Caliban wants these. So
right, and
what idea does he have? Like, what direction? He knows there's more of them, because Godey has probably said at some point, we're collecting pieces. Okay, we have pieces, but are there more? Like, what's his thought, and what sort of direction do you think?
So it's tricky, because at the start of his entry into the campaign, he was just a mercenary. He just he happened across this mission.
He was crew for hire
strictly
at that point,
right? Strictly by chance, and he ends up getting dragged into it. And he could sense there was a bigger picture at work when he was working with these people, and that's what caught his attention. Granted, he was a wild fucking drunk at that point in time, but there was still a level of compulsion for him. It was like they're serving a higher purpose than just themselves. I kind of want to stick around to find out what that is. Yeah. And then he finds himself thrust into the middle of this higher purpose. And then on top of that, losing his only guiding hand into this higher purpose. And granted, he in this moment in the arc that we're at right now, his immediate response is to go chase Godey down, but he knows if for the grand scheme, the bigger picture of the situation, he needs to let Godey go. Godey needs to be his own entity and not be influenced by these pieces of the Paragon, because I mean it corrupts to a degree, and it was very explicitly shown when Godey forced himself to give up the pieces of the Paragon in the final scene. William was very honed in that moment, was watching him attentively, and and spotted with that fucking 30 insight that Godey was going against his innate nature to not be beholden by greed or ambition, but in that moment he was beholden by greed, and that caught William's attention. It was like, that's not natural. What's going on? And then coming up next morning, he has a letter from Godey saying I'm taking off, and he's nowhere to be found. So William kind of had a bit of an internal dialogue that alerted him to the situation. That's why he didn't react as that's why he didn't react as much as he did, as the others are probably going to react. Because once Grendel finds out, it's going to be pandemonium. It's going to be pandemonium, and William's going to have to figure out some way to try and calm her down. But
Toro's not around either to hold Grendel down, and he's the only one that probably could.
William is the only emotional support fucking person left behind, and William is not an emotional support person at all. So it's going to be very, very hard to control the situation.
Comfy.
Yeah, but I think William will be able to appeal to Grendel's. He's gone through to her on several occasions, but it's not his forte. When it comes to emotion, it is not his forte at all. It's just she's got some things to deal with. I'm gonna go drink and let her deal with whatever she's got to deal with on her own.
Yeah.
Where in this case,
there's also Xenia there as well, which
Xenia, but it's also been
it could be some camaraderie,
some level of catharsis. But the issue is Xenia has also proved to be very socially inept.
Yes.
Very socially inept.
Social cues not there.
Incredibly right, and that was explicitly shown in the social interaction with Grayson and William in Baddock's shop. It was granted, the result of that interaction turned out way better than William or I could have hoped for. Honestly, I was expecting worst case scenario.
I was just ripping off that Band-Aid as fast as possible.
I personally was expecting worst case scenario. William was expecting the cataclysmic worst case scenario. Grayson was going to come back and try and kill him at some point in time. That was his expectation.
Had some roles been a little different, and had Grayson been feeling better, probably.
Right.
He wanted to, but he also recognized the fact that he's not at his 100%. And this guy that he blasted in the chest with his sword and divine smite is still walking
somehow.
So realizing some of that, it's I've got to be on my game to take this guy out. It's
that's another thing is this relationship between William and Halbrand.
It started out okay. It was hey, here's a bunch of really cool stuff, and now it's oh, I have to act right to keep the stuff.
Yeah. And William in his own sense is his own man, and having to adhere to a certain code of conduct or not being allowed to peek in behind the curtains of certain things William's gonna test those waters. I mean,
Yeah,
that's his
absolutely.
his nature.
I think the main
Um,
thing that really drove Caliban crazy was the fact that you threw the coin away.
that was
That was
completely impromptu.
yeah.
But when Goaty said those words, you are your own, uh, are your own person. That's what William. That's when William was like, I need
Yeah,
to separate
I
myself from
am.
this person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what motivated the separation at that moment in time. But I mean, after that whole exchange, William quickly went back to that fucking coin and put it back away. But trying to uh, open the box with the coin in his palm, and that the whole resistance came coming forth. William was like, "Yep, sorry, bye," and I'm pushing the button. Oh my god, that was wild. That scene itself was intense. That gave me goosebumps for sure, 100%.
So is there a moment so far in this campaign that you would say is your favorite so far?
Favorite moments so far in the campaign. Um, I would say probably the moment we were introduced to Toro, because that's when William started really exercising his wit and his battlefield knowledge. When he was like, "Goaty, take the high ground over there. Grendel, you stay on my flank." That's when his military prowess started showing and being shown up or being confronted by a group of dwarves in a very unfamiliar territory. That I any chance that I get to utilize my battlefield assessment of knowledge and flex my tactical skills, I absolutely love those moments. So I'm ecstatic for any time we get into a battlefield scenario because I'm gonna fucking assess the shit out of the battlefield, try and find the high grounds, and
Yeah,
utilize that knowledge that I have to help
get
influence
positioned.
the
Yeah,
combat. Yeah. Um,
awesome.
Especially now that we have a portable fucking hole at our disposal. I have a portable trench that I can use now.
Absolutely.
So, you best believe I'm going to be spamming the shit out of that thing until it starts taking damage, and then I'm going to start hiding that until that gets mended. Like, all right, my trench is damaged. We're gonna stick to natural terrain.
We're gonna fix it. What's been the most annoying or the worst parts that you can think of?
The most annoying for me is having to be more uh, mentally present. Because as you know, I play a lot of very aloof characters. The only other very tactically aware character that I play with 2B Dice Adventures is Holiday, but he's very few and far in between. Alfie is a chaos gremlin. Fucking Clucky is a chaos gremlin. Um, William, when he was first introduced, was a chaos gremlin. Uh,
That's before
so
you
like,
told me he has a son, and then I was like,
right, yeah.
okay.
Um,
How do you feel
so
about that?
right,
Yeah.
and every time I create a character, I do have like some level of backstory implemented the moment that I create the character. Um, so William, again, he was based strictly off of me, so his backstory was pretty much entirely pre-written the moment I created him. But like Clucky, Holiday was designed off of Doc Holiday from Tombstone, obviously, or not Tombstone, but the individual Doc Holiday. But I got the inspiration from Tombstone. Alfie's inspiration. Fuck. Where did I get his inspiration from? because this dude is a he's like a combination from several characters from the Lost City of Atlantis. He's the the bombardier, or the explosives expert, and Mole combined. Those two characters combined.
Look, I
Um,
made a bridge. Yeah.
right. And there's some levels of like Happy in there. Or is that the doc's name? Happy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Some levels of Happy in there, but primarily Mole and the explosive expert.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but that's where the inspiration for that character came from. Um, I have over 30 some odd 38 characters. And the reason why I started taking on running games myself is because I can't help but create all these fucking characters to a point where I don't get to play any of them. And I keep hearing over and over again, if you have these many characters that you've never played ever before, you need to start running your own games because those are your NPCs. And I'm like, all right, that kind of does make sense. I can see that in a sense, but
they're easy to
am
pick up and play.
too disorganized to
well.
Right. I would love to be able to create my own world in that sense, to where these characters are all centralized and can be all directly influenced.
Yeah.
But I am so chaotic that I could not keep track of a world like that. So intermittently sprinkling them throughout all the other dimensions and worlds and whatnot works better for me, because then I can just you know. You find yourself in a multi-dimensional traveling party, you could eventually run into these characters in other dimensions.
Yeah. The explosive expert's name is Vinny Santorini.
Vinny, yes, Vinny. Alfie and Vinny. Very derivative. But that's a good question. That leads up to one of my questions. Is like, what has been one of your more favorite NPCs that you've created for Tales of Varden that either didn't make it or you wish had more time with the party?
Oh man. I mean, we started with Horatio Guavelstomp. I think that's one of my favorite NPCs that I've made. He's a cartographer. He's super fun to play, and I hope I get to bring him back around in some form or fashion.
He's still alive though?
Yeah, he's
okay.
So here's where he's at. He stayed at the library. This guy, when everybody came together and they used all of his research and they teleported to the piece of land high above Varden and found their way into this library that's supposed to be non-existent. This guy is old for like a gnome. He's at the end of his life. This is his life's work to find this place. This was like the big archaeological dig of his centuries that he's been alive. And he found it. His life's work is over. Like,
yeah,
he is based off of the the archaeologist in Avatar: The Last Airbender. That he's only in there. He's only in there for that, for that one episode, and he stays while the library is sinking.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I love with the owl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that episode.
He's more eccentric. He's more like all over the place. And he's a gnome and he's old. The other guy's young, but he's based off of that. And when the party leaves, he's already dead. But the library being what it is, he's still like, so if he ever leaves the library, he'll expire. But
The library's
got
preserving his ass? Oh my
everybody
god.
got something from Mindoran, because Mindoran looks at people and can talk to them while having a conversation, very Galadriel-esque. While you know the party like comes to the woods in Lord of the Rings, and she's like looking at each one of them, and they're all like, she's in their head
having their own conversation.
having their own conversations separately. That's basically what he was doing as they're leaving, and he's like giving them each like gifts and different things at the same time. Basically, Horatio, he was like, and what do you want, like, as your parting gift? He's like, I want to stay. He's like, you can't stay. He's like, no, I want to stay like forever. This is what I was after, and to leave now, I couldn't bear the thought of leaving the knowledge that is here behind. And
so he spends an eternity learning every.
So now this archaeologist is a warlock, because
that's so fucking cool.
He offered him a deal. It's basically a celestial pact warlock now, and he is bound body and soul to the library. So the outcome of this campaign defines whether Horatio gets to go back to Varden or not.
Oh fuck!
So that's been really fun. He's one of my favorite NPCs. He's really fun to play. He's super chaotic, but not in like a mischievous way. Just like, I'll take your shoes.
Very inquisitive. You know,
just an insane old guy, and I love playing insane old guys that are super fun and just don't really care about anything. The other one past that would have to be, you said one that I wanted to have more time with the party. And this is my fault, 100% my fault, how I introduced them, how I played them, and how I set up everything prior to him coming in. And it is Krubak Velpus. Krubak Velpus was one of my favorite NPCs to introduce to you guys. It was going to be awesome. And it was going to be kind of like a teaser. He was going to have one of the pieces and then basically be like, hey, we're good friends now. If you need anything, I'm going to go keep this safe at the Myriad. When you're ready, come get it. But no, you guys were like, boom.
Hey, listen, William definitely would have been like that. Yeah, like, oh, you got a piece of Paragon? Oh, okay, you're dead.
Yeah. So
especially when you start stealing shit from me.
Yeah. I didn't know what else was gonna happen. Like, I shouldn't be surprised by what happened.
Oh my god!
But I love all of it, and I talked with Dia about the outcome of that episode, because she was able to make it, and she was like, cats have 9 lives, right? And that sparked the idea. I was like, there's got to be something that I can do.
Contingency, yeah.
And I looked through spells and I found one. It was contingency, and I was like, I'm putting that on him. And I texted her and I was like, it's contingency, and then it'll be within 6 seconds. So he teleports to the place where they cast Revivify, and we're all good. And he's just at that point, because with
that's hilarious.
With Luna and their mother, it was like, it's a whole thing with them. So it's he's basically still there doing remedial lessons and being like, how could you let this happen? You're stupid. Like, don't die next time, you know?
Right, yeah.
Because you're supposed to be this elite operative and you got skewered by a bunch of whatevers. You're like, dude.
We spammed the shit out of that character with wisdom saves left and fucking right. And Gorfang came in clutch with that final wisdom save. It was like, Cloud Rune. You're now incapacitated, and you can't. You can only do saves on your turn, not when you get attacked. Yeah, no, Gorfang came in clutch for that situation. For the party.
I definitely should not have led with taking the Sea King's Fang just as like a mischievous thing, because I know how much like Goaty is very protective of that thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Goaty. Yeah. Well, I mean, this entire party, aside from Grendel, is extremely resource protective. Oh, that's a lie. Grendel and Xenia are not resource protective at all. But William,
until you get
Goaty,
involved with animals, Xenia doesn't really care. Like if you touch her like munchkin little thing, or you mess with like an animal inappropriately, then Xenia's getting involved pretty heavily. But I mean, for that matter, so is Grendel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, William. You just gotta display the wrong type of reaction to a question, and he's on your ass like fucking Thanos. Goaty, he just has to get a wrong sense about you, and that motherfucker's on your ass. But Krubak, I felt bad in that moment too. Yeah. That you were trying to introduce this character, and the rest of the party was all trying to kill him, and Gorfang, new to the entire situation, just there as a protector by decree of his chieftain, was like, all right, they all want to kill him. Hadrun.
Dead.
Now you guys can kill him.
Yeah. No, I that's actually probably one of my favorite episodes is
that was a really good episode. I like that one a lot.
It's just that whole thing with Harpon, like using his familiar to follow Krubak through the tunnels, and then like all of you guys jump them. It was just a really good. As much as it wasn't great for me as the DM, you guys had fun, and that's what matters most.
Right. I'm not gonna lie, I loved playing Gorfang. Gorfang was such a fun character to play.
That was
very very simplistic, but motivated by glory and whatnot, and that fight with the Silver Dragon that ends up being what's her name? But I literally didn't piece that part or that scene and last scene together until like what was it, 2 weeks ago? I was like, oh, that's the same fucking dragon. This motherfucker tried to kill us.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, a part of me wanted Gorfang to tag along, but with the background that we developed with that character is like, no, he's just he is dedicated to his tribe, and he's only there to protect them until the outskirts of town, and then he's going back to the Underdark to be with his tribe. I mean, he didn't have any skin in the fight other than what his chieftain decreed. If his chieftain decreed that he was to travel with them and see through their mission, then he probably would have gone. But his decree was to stick with them and act as their guide. So,
Gorfang might make his way back around. You never know.
Right. I mean, he's a sturdy bitch. That's for damn sure. But
there's other stuff going around that might involve Gorfang. So I'm
not mad at it. I'm not fucking mad at it. You definitely do a one shot with his ass again. But that was one of my one of my more favorite episodes of Tales of Arden so far. The one that stood out to me the most was William's introduction with the dragon turtle. That episode was so much fucking fun. Mm-hmm. So much fun. Just running in, guns, flintlocks blasting, and I'm so thankful that you allowed me to have flintlock pistols with William in the modification of being attached to hand axes. Yeah. So that's his primary form of fighting.
That was the thing. That's the thing. There's real weapons that are like that. So it's so much fun to like implement those. And I played a character once. That was a shifter fighter that was a bounty hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And he had hand axe pistols, and that was a lot of fun.
That's fuck.
Like put the hatchet in and then pull the trigger.
right. This is wedge it just right so that the barrel of the weapon is just pointing right at the fucker's face, and then boom.
Yep. And then boom.
But I knew I wanted William to have a combo weapon that he could utilize because I wanted him to be very versatile in fights. I wanted him to be able to fight in close range and at distance, because I mean, you need a fighter that's going to be versatile in fights, especially in a seafaring campaign or a high fantasy seafaring campaign, because being stuck strictly with fucking melee is a nightmare in any campaign.
On them. Yeah. Definitely.
So I knew I wanted William to be a dexterity-based fighter when I designed him. So having hatchet-based or hand axe-based weapons that he could utilize as firearms, I was glad that you were willing to work with me on that and let him have that aspect. And the fact that William is holding on to blueprints to be able to implement that type of weaponry, this has made me covet the character even more. Is like his knowledge in the industrial age gives him this level of advancement that could very well possibly make him rich, but he'd rather hold that leverage for himself in a fight. Yeah, that's it's a very interesting perspective. Like, I could make millions off of this, but if I sell this information out, then I put myself more at risk of having this information used against me. And fuck that. So having that ability to influence that aspect of the industrial age, even though there is some level of firearms already portable firearms implemented in the canon of Varden so far, with the pepper box and everything, but with William's implementation of firearms into melee weapons being a closely guarded secret is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how just that one small detail of putting flintlocks in has influenced how fast technology will be progressing here in the future. Because you have those blueprints. Did we ever decide where you got those blueprints?
Somewhere? We talked about it, that it was acquired on a mission with Balazar. Captain Balazar.
Okay. Yeah.
Balazar has a more refined version in the form of cutlasses. I believe that's what we talked about, and then William implemented it in the form of hand axes.
So Balazar has these flintlocks as well, but in cutlasses.
Yeah.
Very cool. You got that. Then you have the goblins, Harold and Creek.
I love those two. I love those fucking two. I was so sad that what was it, Harold? Harold is the one that died? Creek was the one that died.
Creek's the one that's dead.
I was so distraught. Even when I was playing Gorefang, I was wondering, please tell me those goblins are fucking alive.
I was the dumb person that was like, I'm committed to making everything just be random and let the dice tell the story. So in between those two episodes of Greenport being razed to the ground and you guys going through the underground city, I rolled like, here's my list of NPCs. We're gonna flip coins and roll dice. You're gonna see if they're alive or dead or like injured, and then see how injured they are. Like, are they missing a leg? Are they gonna have like surgery, or like go through and like see how messed up everybody is, and
yeah, the whole fucking system. My God.
And the dice were like, nope, goblin is dead. And I'm like, no, crap. And then the next one, so I flipped a coin. It was injured for Creek. I rolled. It was a 1. And I was like, dang it. Okay, next on the list was Margaret. And I flipped a coin. It was like injured. I'm like, crap. Dude, rolled another 1. I was like, I need to stop rolling.
Just killing off all the beloved NPCs. How could you?
Like, oh man, yeah. So
I was so distraught in that moment when I heard Margaret was in the streets.
You couldn't
bleeding out.
Gorfang because it just
Gorfang had no
idea.
Yeah, Gorfang had no knowledge of her.
It doesn't matter.
And it was just Gorfang, and who else was there for that? It was just Gorfang.
Grendel.
Grendel didn't see her.
So everybody was there, but the only person that saw anything over there was Gorfang. And he was like, okay, yeah, that wyvern's dead. That house is burning. Cool. Yep, let's go this way. Like,
that's insane. I forgot. Yeah, Gorfang was... Gorfang's a very perspective in... Yeah. Right. Well, he had no reason to. He didn't know that.
Whatsoever.
But me, on the other hand, was like... Fuck!
Yeah. So that was.
Oh no! So it wasn't just Gorfang hanging on to the information. It was Harpin too.
It was Harpin
had his familiar flying around, and his familiar spotted Margaret dead in the street. Gorfang saw the wyvern, but Gorfang didn't have line of sight on Margaret. I believe it was the situation. I believe. I could be wrong.
It was something like that. But yeah, Harpin did have eyes on them, but they weren't important to the party's mission. They were important to the party.
Didn't prioritize it, yeah.
But it's not a priority to him because he's a very calculated person. He's like, this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is happening to everyone. There's more people like this.
Right.
The important thing is for us to stay on track and move forward with the mission.
Yeah, that was a very, very calculated decision, because had the party found out Margaret was going to die, yeah, they would have diverted course 100%. Like, shit,
they would have
gotta get this woman out.
The yeah, they would have gone into the building. Man. Yeah, that was.
Speaking of that episode, the cliffhanger with William's death was fucking perfection. I loved that episode. And then just ending on Grayson smiting him on top of stabbing him without the prior knowledge of him being undead was just fucking... That shit was clean, man. I was like... I thought, like, William's dead. Like,
there's no coming back.
There's no coming back from that, but you know, Calbrain has his ways, so I was like, all right.
Yeah, it was an excellent opportunity to help everyone understand how powerful Calbrain can be.
Right.
Because, yeah, an undead should not be able to come back from that.
After being smited, yeah, after 100%.
Like that's toast. That's done. But yeah, Calbrain's got some tricks up his sleeve, and I'm excited to see if we see any more of them.
Oh yeah, and it's interesting how William's been progressing with his relationship with Calbrain. Like he's been taking on aspects that allows him to counter anything the party can throw at him should they become a problem, or should he become a problem for them, you know?
Yeah.
So like he's got contingencies in place for everybody. Because I mean, he has to. We're in a very, very tricky situation where a lot of power is being passed between each member of the party, and
Yeah.
absolute power absolutely corrupts. So I mean, like, whether or not that's going to corrupt certain individual at a faster rate than the others, it's very possible. But William is also accommodating for that in the sense of I need to have contingencies in place to be able to take care of these fronts.
Kind of going back to something else we talked about with Goaty hesitating to give up some of the pieces. He was holding all of them,
right?
For an extended period of time. Like it had been a few days where he had all of them.
Right.
But it was
And William was considering that, especially after the events of the false Hydra. Was like, yo, fucking pass that shit out. You cannot have all that fucking power because we need to be able to fucking fight too.
Yeah. And the rest of the party wasn't there for this, but Lady Opal told Goaty to make sure that she said, unbridled power is very dangerous. Make sure you distribute it evenly.
Right.
And he still hold on to like all of them for like a good,
few more days,
week or two,
yeah. Yeah, no, that shit was, William was very aware of that situation, very aware of that lack of power in the rest of the party, whereas Goaty had plenty of it at his disposal and didn't even use it, which, I mean, is smart. You got to use that type of power in combat situations, you become reliant on it. Yeah. So it was smart in that sense to just not even be tempted by it, but even still, it found a way to tempt you.
Yeah.
In the sense of not wanting to give it up.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how once it's displayed or dispersed amongst the crew, how it'll affect each and every individual of the crew.
Yeah. I've got a table for all that too.
Like I'm most interested to see how Grendel's going to respond to that type of power.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really want to see how she responds to that. But the power struggle that has been such an underlying theme is my favorite thing. Yes, KJ. The amount of power that is at the disposal of the parties thus far, since this campaign has kicked off, it's very interesting that not once have actually since the Hydra or up until the Hydra, not once has it been used. The Hydra is the only time that we've ever used any pieces of the Amber Paragon to aid in the fight.
Yeah.
As far as I remember, unless there was other instances before that William wasn't part of.
Goaty's been using the Sea King's Fang as a focus for spells and things like that, but there are a few like extra capabilities that it has that allow you to, let me pull that up real quick. Sea King's Fang, here we go. Let's see. So this is the one piece that changes based on the user, the person who wields it. Yeah. But it has 3 charges that you can, let's see. As a 1, the spell focused, the attuned creature can cast a bolt of radiant damage using a charge as a bonus action, or add the damage as a reaction after casting a spell. So you can add more as a reaction, or you could, if you're out of spell slots, you can at least, kind of spell your way through at least a few more attacks. Yeah. But it's 1d8 piercing plus 1d8 radiant. So it's basically like a like a single magic missile, but amped up with radiant damage. It does a lot more damage. You can still use that as like if William were to get a hold of it and use it as a cutlass or something, you could still as a reaction put that damage onto that as well. So it would do another 2d8 damage on top of whatever the cutlass does. And one d8 of that would be radiant damage.
Very intriguing.
It has capabilities on top of that, but I don't think he's ever used it. Maybe once, and I don't remember what fight that was in. He's used Tidal Surge at least a couple times.
I remember that. Yeah,
and that's a exclusive spell.
That was for the Hydra.
Yeah, he used it at the Hydra. He used it for the Abyssal Direwolf fight. He used it for the fight with Corellian in his office.
Oh yeah, that's
he's used it like three or four times. He's used that specific extra spell that is exclusive to the Sea King's Fang.
Right, but it's been few and far in between for sure.
Yeah,
but that's right.
It's not an explicit. This is an Amber Paragon thing. That's more so. It's using the Amber Paragon as a battery of sorts to fuel this ability that this weapon was made for.
Yeah. That being said, with William's situation with Caliban, I'm very interested to see how the relationship develops as more pieces are accumulated.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm modeling him off of more of my darker aspects, but I have also given him my resiliency. So just to avoid whether or not he's going to be able to avoid the temptation of also using the Paragons and also giving Caliban access to that power is going to be interesting to me. Given the fact that Godey's letter explicitly says don't use any of these pieces of the Paragon, as it will give Caliban access to that power. Whether or not William's going to adhere to that warning is going to be very interesting.
It will be very interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be definitely situational to the point where I think if anything was going to influence his decision, it would have to be like in a very dire situation.
Yeah.
As of right now, like
he's an emergency break glass sort of situation.
But that also comes with the caveat of you used it once, you become a little more reliant on it more and more. So like, even if the first use is justified, you've opened the door to Pandora, and now you're gonna have to pay the consequences for it. But I'm curious to see how that transpires, if it at all does.
KJ brings up an excellent point as well. They said, I'm super excited to see how things go and what NPCs and such start sticking their nose into the party's business because they have that kind of power. So you guys, as you accumulate these, is that a concern for William right now? Have they even thought about it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now that the Myriad had just started poking their nose into their business, I mean, the animosity that was developed between Luna and William was strictly
so good.
strictly impromptu. But the fact that that you confirmed that the Scarlet Brotherhood has a point of contention between when it comes to the Myriad, I was like, oh, it makes perfect sense. Like, the Myriad serves as a thieves guild in a sense, but they prostrate themselves as being the moral high ground, even though they still steal from people and they still do underhanded things. Whereas the Scarlet Brotherhood is more truthful about their nature. Like,
Yeah. They're not
we steal
hiding
things,
anything. Yeah.
right? We steal things, and we don't hide behind the fact that we're trying to be, or we're not trying to disguise it with morality.
Yeah.
Not, we're greedy individuals,
Yeah.
and you know that about us. Whereas the Myriad is more of a we're taking things from you because it serves a greater purpose.
Yeah.
Does it though?
You're
But
still
fucking
taking
does it? But does it fucking serve a higher purpose? We don't know. I don't trust you regardless. Fuck you. So yeah, that and to be in full disclosure, when it came down to that Hydra fight, William had fully intended on killing Luna until she popped back from her contingency plan or whatever she had while she was in the stomach of the Hydra with William. William was going to fucking steal that gauntlet 100%. He was like, she's dead. I don't care. I'm taking the gauntlet. I just needed to keep the body with me until I figured out how to get the gauntlet off her. Yeah. And then she's alive, and I'm like, fuck. All right. Well, all right. I'm gonna push you out. Don't fucking tell anybody that I saved your ass, and kill this fucking thing while I'm inside it, please.
Do us all a favor.
But yeah, William. Full disclosure, William was planning on kill. If she wasn't dead, he was planning on killing her 100%. Like, but she ended up coming to consciousness, and granted, William probably could have tried to kill her in the stomach of the Hydra, but it just didn't serve the narrative part. It definitely didn't serve the combat situation, because one, they were both in a very precarious situation, and trying to kill each other in that precarious situation just wouldn't be sensible, you know. Yeah. From a strategic person's mindset, trying to kill a person that's alive or conscious in front of you while in the stomach of a beast, probably not the smartest idea.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna push you out and you save me. But yeah, that was a very, very moral stretching scenario for William. Like, William, like, had William gotten the chance to kill her, Luna probably William would have killed Luna 100%. 100%.
Then William wouldn't have all the little nieces and nephews.
Right. Exactly.
Oh God.
So yeah, no, that was a very fun situation.
Yeah. What magic item has William heard of that they would really love to get their hands on?
That's a good question. Honestly, nothing really stands out to him. He's very fond of his vest, or is curious. He's very fond of that thing. As he's grown to rely on it in several situations, but anything that gives. I wouldn't say he's relying on items. I would say he's relying on the boons that his patron is granting him so far. The fact that he lost his ability to summon a firearm from the realm of the dead, he's kind of upset about that a little bit. The dead man's shot being gone, no longer accessible to him. A little upset, but also Williams is his own man, so he's not going to admit that. He's like, you want to take away my survivability at the cost of your survivability? Fuck you.
Let's see. Okay, just got a question for Chris. Cool. Have you placed or hinted towards things or people who could be very important to for this story, or could do absolutely nothing for the story based on how the party might interact with them at some point? Yeah, question. there's always like little clues and things and people that I've placed here and there. And for the most part, I think people have gravitated towards some of those, but I have had to change a few of them. And be like, they weren't really interested in how that person talks or interacts with them. So this kind of plot point has to move to someone else. The responsibility of carrying on the story has to move to maybe a no-name NPC that eventually becomes somebody. Because of maybe a way that I've framed it. Krubak Velpus we talked about that a little bit earlier, was a great example of that, because I was a little bit too mischievous with them and a little bit too shady, and the party was just not having any of it because
at the wrong time for sure.
At the wrong time, for sure, at the wrong time, and for sure, like in the wrong setting. It was not the right time for them, and the party just completely turned on heel and destroyed them. So then that little nugget of information kind of went down the line, and Dia helped me a lot with that. So yeah, there's definitely been other things, and I have hinted towards like other things and other people. I don't know that some of them have been like picked up on. Someone that was very important to the story was oh shoot, what was her name? It couldn't have been that important. The old lady from the island. Shoot, what was her name?
Well, I know what you're talking about. We left her behind. Yeah. Oh shit!
You guys brought her on the ship and were able to reintroduce her to her son, which is Corellian.
Right.
Due to all of the things that happened in Greenport, Harpun,
we didn't have time to
relocated somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
So
that's good.
They are still there, and they still have something to do with the story, but they are so far away geographically that it will be hard to bring them back around. So some of their stuff might have to go somewhere else, just to keep the story going. Yeah. It was Kite. That was her name. Kite,
yeah. Kite.
Yeah. She had another name as well. That was her like name before she went crazy. But yeah, I'm super excited to see what happens next coming up.
That was back in the first season for sure, yeah.
Yeah. Oh shoot. His name was Salik, right?
Salik. Is he still alive?
I was gonna
have still alive?
Be a bigger part of what happened in Greenport. And I had some other stuff in there as well.
I had feelings.
Salik.
Especially when you introduced you introduced the Wyvern Riders. I was expecting the Warbirds to show up at to be the ones that were assailing the port.
Right. Yeah.
I was expecting Warbirds for sure.
So he was waiting on a shipment of birds, is what he told William.
Right.
So where is that shipment, and will it get to where it needs to go next? And what is the shipment of birds? Who's to say?
Yeah.
We'll never know.
I'm curious to find out whether or not Salik is still alive.
Off record, not for William's knowledge, I will say that he is still alive. However, it's not going very well for him. Yeah. What Harpon was able to pull off behind the scenes in our little Discord.
William was so not fucking happy about that.
I wanna try something. I was like, okay, make some rolls, do some stuff, and his rolls were spot on that night. Yeah. Like you've seen Victor roll like ones after ones after ones.
Right.
So, like on so many things when he wants to do so well, he's like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
William. I was like, that's some good rolls, and man, That's what his character is built for, is the behind the
Yeah.
scenes, sneaky, political, changing people's minds on how things operate, influencing opinions and perspectives. And he kind of caused a mutiny on the guy's ship.
Yeah.
So
No, William, I mean, there was a level of respect that William had for Harpin due to the nature of his line of work. But William was still very upset about the fact that Harpin did interfere with that relationship between him and Salik.
Did William know that it was Harpin that interfered, or did he just show up at the docks and go, "Oh, ship's gone"?
Harpin, I believe, if I'm correct, something. Harpin did say something about Salik not being a problem anymore, which alluded to William's suspicion that, or not suspicion, but gave William the conclusion that Harpin interfered with that situation. And
he sees a roadblock, and he's like, "This is going to distract from what we need to do. It needs taken care of. This distraction needs taken off everyone's plate. I'll take care of that. Okay, now you can. Now there's plenty of time to focus on what you should be doing."
Which William was not happy about. It was like William wanted to kill that motherfucker with his bare hands because he touched his ladies.
Yeah,
but and also there was a history between those two that he wanted to deal with himself. But Harpin forced him to maintain his focus on the bigger picture, which he is thankful for. It's like, yes, I need to stay focused on the bigger picture, but that was my problem to deal with, not yours.
Yeah. That, I think, is one of the most fun parts that I've had so far, because we had talked about, you had mentioned like a few people on the crew with Balasar and Salik and like maybe a few others as well. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to like integrate this. Like, how are we going to like bring them around if I can, or I probably won't use them very much or at all. And we, and then the opportunity presented itself. And I'm like, I can bring Salik in. How would that go? And I was like, man, so that was a really fun opportunity to bring somebody in from one of your backstories, not to traumatize or like mess with you a whole lot, but just
to present a roadblock.
Yeah, just to make the players feel like their backstory matters, and that at least you get to see them. Like you write all this stuff and you have this person that's part of your story, and then you never see them come into the picture, even just in passing at a bar or whatever, So yeah, it was a lot of fun to bring Salik in and to build him out as,
Storm Herald fucking barbarian.
Yeah.
You had me shit my fucking pants in that moment. I'm like, oh fuck. I don't know if I can handle a barbarian right now at this level. What was I, level 7 at the fucking moment?
Yeah, you're level 6 or 7, and that was a whole lot of fun. A little spark in the eye, and you're like, "Oh shoot, this guy is fuck." Because we hadn't really talked about builds or anything like that. We just dropped him in.
And that's the thing. You've been coming up with some of the most perfect builds for the characters from my backstory, at least. Salik, his Williams and Salik's relationship is very. Salik being the first mate, he had to be a very, very capable individual to command. Even William, when he was under the command of Balasar and Salik, because he was the first mate. So the fact that Balasar hired on William despite Salik's apprehension about William, like William had to have some level of appeal, which was his melee fighting capabilities and his battle tactics. So there was a level I would say there was a level of jealousy that was instilled the day William was hired on into the crew that Salik held on to and made that a point of contention between the two of them instead of making it a point of relatability. KJ asks, how much of the world of Barden is your creation, and how much of it has been influenced by the characters given to you by the players?
A lot of it has been given to me by players, simply because I made an empty world. I put a map together. I was like, this is the creation, the history, the lore, the major calamities and wars that kind of formed the structure geopolitically of this world. And this is where we're at in time. We're on the edge of an industrial revolution where the world has gotten so small that it's pushing out the last few people that are grasping for freedom on the sea. The age of sail is coming to an end. So what are pirates going to do? The Scarlet Brotherhood, that's one of my creations. That's kind of part of this story, is like that transition. What is the Scarlet Brotherhood doing now? They're seeing the world become smaller to them, and possibly at one point everybody wants to hold on to their stuff. So at some point there is a possibility that pirates will be at war with the world. So
and try and set them back to the Stone Age. Yeah.
They have to do something, whether that's grab for power or I don't know.
Not necessarily send them back to the Stone Age, but at least back to the Iron Age.
Yeah. Where they have superiority. So they have to gain some sort of superiority. So what are they doing to gain that superiority? What are they working on with that? I made a world. I made that. I made the different regions and kind of like what monsters are kind of placed in different places. I made different cities and like businesses and the Magisterium and the Scuola Arcana and the Venturing Academy. Like that's all stuff that has been there. But like culture and people, like that has been most influenced by players. Godi, I had one of the cities up in the northern section of the map that was called Norturun, and he picked that place as a place of origin and basically built that area into a Viking-esque village that was next to a more like what's the word? Like Anglo-Saxon village.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, they do minimal trade, but this Viking village is kind of its own little thing and nobody really goes there. It's very Goliath and nobody else. The village is kind of mixed match of like the regular elves, gnomes, dwarves, humans, kind of all mixed together. And there are a few other cities in there that are like exclusive goblin halls and like exclusive dwarven cities. And there's an entire wooden region that is like moon elves, and that's it. You don't go there. So yeah, there were things like that have just been like thrown in place, different places. But I've left it open enough that when people come in, they can feel like they can play whatever character they want to play.
Right.
And it's open enough and it's so unpopulated until someone says, I'm from here. Then I go in and kind of put that together. So yeah, I had like the Fair Harbors, which was our starting area, kind of mapped out, and this is what it is. And then like a town to the north and a town to the south and a few things to the west. And then like a few like drow that live in the desert, like in the dunes. And there's just very patchwork stuff, and seeing the world connect and come together with each player that comes in is a very beautiful thing, and I think that's what I love most about world building. And maybe not all world building is like this, but how Varden has been shaped by players is absolutely amazing. We're getting
Yeah.
ready to add another player to our list of regulars to Varden, and I've been talking with them, and the things that they're talking about are shaping things even more, but they're also tying into things that the other players have created, and they don't know, like they haven't even spoken to each other. And that's the really cool thing, is like
Yeah.
all these things that they're talking about, I'm like, okay, that's new, that actually links to this person, and that one actually links to this person. And it's not a direct contact, it's not a direct link, but there
But it's
is
influence.
shared influence and shared information on that.
Interesting.
Let's see how much of the world of Varden creation. Let's see what else has been given to me by players.
How much, like, when I presented William to you, he's definitely a very controversial character for sure. With the usual tactic of dealing with somebody of William's nature is usually death by firing squad. William being exiled, is that a usual practice from the Sovereign's perspective prior to William, or was that something you had in mind even beforehand?
That's not something that I had really thought about. Main reason is I don't like really being punishing to players. But if that's the impression that the player is under, then we can run with that. I didn't know how. Let's see. I didn't know how much to implement that. Like,
Yeah.
Are you wanting to be hunted? Because
I wouldn't say William would be necessarily hunted. I would just say he'd be ostracized from any major city areas that are under the direct influence of the Sovereign.
Yeah.
Where, so being exiled directly from the homeland.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just saying, being directly ostracized from the homeland, and anything in the immediate area, I would say the Sovereign would be like, yeah, you can't come here. You have to, if you want to live, you have to stay on the outskirts and figure out your own way there.
So I guess how I've been running it is I'm under the assumption that William knows this and would go about coming into ports in a very discreet manner, under aliases, under different names.
And that's how I've been running him too.
Yeah, that's why he's like mostly dirty all the time. It's hard to recognize somebody if they're like all bleh, you know. So there's that. I guess that's how I've been running that particular scenario. I haven't really been actively looking for William with the Sovereign's men, because Greenport is very much a sovereign port. I mean, obviously Grayson is like was embarking from there on a ship called the Sovereign's Pride with military. So there is sovereign.
That makes sense. William definitely would have been operating off of aliases for the most part when it comes to operating in close proximity of the Sovereign. It was like, all right, this is a Sovereign-controlled city. He would inquire the direction or where they plan to make port, and if that's a Sovereign-controlled city, then he would give an alias. Otherwise, he would just operate off of a nickname or something like that. Even still, just not giving out his real name freely, because his name does draw attention. But yeah,
if you do start to get recognized, then maybe I will have to start running, like maybe roll to see if they recognize or how far that influence is spread, and how important are you to, you know, the
The
sovereign?
sovereign. Yeah.
Because like that's the other thing, is like if you start getting recognized and your name gets around to the right people, then you
That's
might
when
have a
things
problem on
become
your hands.
problematic.
Yeah. So I haven't been running it actively. It's more of like a passive clock to
Yeah.
see
If
how
I'm
much
openly
you
trying
start
to make
scaling.
myself known. Yeah. I get you. Yeah, if
Yeah.
William's out there like proclaiming I was the sovereign's pride and apple of their eye, you should respect me. Yeah, then that would be a problem. Like, yeah, you were also in exile, and now you're in a city that the sovereign controls. You are now subject to execution.
Yeah.
So yeah, that it
Like
makes sense in
if
that
your
in that
name,
aspect.
what was the names that I gave you? Oh, if your name gets back to Captain Hornigold or War Minister Vane, then yeah, you might have a problem on your hands.
Right.
but for now, I think that's fine.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, no, I was curious about how impactful William's history is on the storyline. Like, I mean, yes, he's a very problematic character with his military career, but the fact that he does operate off of aliases primarily should offset that. Because I mean, when you become a pirate, you don't want your true name being the one that gets attention. You want that moniker,
Yeah.
William the Great, or William the Cruel, or William the Drunk.
Yeah.
That's what you want to garner the attention of other fellow pirates and whatnot.
Yeah.
So William 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 Powell, the captain that hunted pirates across the seas for some time, that wouldn't be a very appealing fucking moniker because that would fucking piss off the Scarlet Brotherhood.
Yeah.
So
does William have any aspirations of working his way up through the Scarlet Brotherhood? At the very top, there are 3 main pirate lords, I guess you could call them. They're called the Brethren. Yeah. There are 3 of them. Would that be a goal for William?
I would say probably now. Yes.
If he can have power too, or
not necessarily the power too. It's more so, if he can influence the crime and suffering of the people of Varden at this point in time, he would rather influence it from the inside than, because I mean, there's no redemption for him within the Sovereign at this point. Like,
yeah,
he is where he's content with the fact that he has to operate on the outside of the law if he wants to influence Varden from a moral standpoint. So it's like, if I can influence it from outside of the law, then I will, make my way to becoming a pirate lord and implementing those controls from the inside. Whereas operating from the outside, I would just be hunting down pirates and killing them outright. So, he's built a camaraderie with the Scarlet Brotherhood at this point from the years of being in exile. Like, he understands at this point, like, he understands why they operate. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not it's not just the sole fact of, glory and greed. It's a sense of freedom and independence.
Yeah.
Like, these people are used to a certain way of life that is now slowly becoming more and more uh, condensed because of the fact that the rest of the world around them is expanding.
Mm-hmm.
So, to preserve that way of life, in a sense, William wouldn't be shy from taking on the responsibility of becoming a pirate lord and trying to preserve that way of life. But things would have to change in that sense, because, can't just go around robbing every fucking treasury ship that crosses our path at that point. But, it's just, if his aspirations would be more focused towards preserving that independence.
Yeah.
Because that's all he has left at that point. But, other than that, if he didn't plan on becoming a pirate lord, it would be a shadow of the man he once was that just washed over the shoulder of his son, who is now in the spotlight, reaping that glory. So it's gonna, the way that things pan out from this point on is extremely derivative of how Grayson's trajectory is formatted. Because if something were to happen to Grayson during this point in time, there is a very good chance William will lose focus on the goal at hand and just become more of a self-indulgent individual as opposed to being focused on the bigger picture. It's something that every father has to battle with in that aspect. It's like, do you maintain your focus, maintain your goal, or do you become subject of your own what's it called? Anguish, and allow it to corrupt you and control you. So that's the projected idea for William. It's either he maintains his goal or he doesn't.
Here's another question from KJ. Fun question because they have no idea. Where do you think Hiram would be right now? Their little Fox character they played for one session.
From my perspective, if they run across Gorfang, lunch. 100%.
So this was something that I texted 2 sessions. You were in it for 2 sessions. Perfect. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, that's right. You were in kind of walking around when the party first got to Greenport. You were kind of walking around town, showing them the ropes and stuff. That was good. That was fun. So this was something that I texted with KJ about after Greenport got attacked, because Hiram is one of Margaret's basically street orphans that they've taken under their wing.
Right.
Fun fact, Luna and Krubak were both orphans in her bed and breakfast at one point in time.
They ended up in the Myriad.
When Greenport was happening, Krubak was there traveling through. When everything happened, the first place he went was the bed and breakfast.
Right.
He was the one that pulled Margaret out of the burning building and was trying to resuscitate at that point. Later on, when Hiram came back to check on Margaret, Krubak was there and they had a conversation, and he's like, "I'm smart. Sorry, little one. I tried everything I could. I wouldn't know where to go if I was your age. But here's my card. Reach out if you need to. So there's a possibility that Hiron is somewhere with the Myriad. Could be the capital city. Could be just northeast of Greenport. There's a small town called Deer Creek. It's very inconspicuous and a pretty good place to put operations. There's also a town north of Greenport, which is probably where the party is going to next, called Rivermouth Pier. It's where the ship that they just got is dry docked. And basically think Tortuga from Pirates of the Caribbean. That's the sort of vibe. So it could be a fun city for Hiron to just be like, hey.
So William's gonna get Mr. Gibbs? Oh shit!
Scallywags. Sure, why not? So yeah, there's the capital, there's Embershard, there's Deer Creek, there's Rivermouth Pier. Yeah. There's a bunch of towns in between Greenport and the capital that is just that they could be anywhere, or they could stay in Greenport and see what sort of life they have there with, because they had friends and other things, but their main place to stay and their caretaker, for lack of a better word, is gone. Ooh,
yeah.
That actually, I just thought about that. So Baddock went and got Margaret's body, so he could have brought Hiron back, and Hiron could be working at a bombastic barricade.
Oh shit!
With black powder everywhere. The chaos. Never mind. Yeah. So yeah,
but yeah,
any of those options. Who knows where Hiron is? I'll let you decide.
I know William would be solely focused on acquiring the ship, as that's the first heading that he's aware of, is the next possible location of the Amber Paragons that they need to seek out. Even if it's not the location, there is still the wishing stones that is rumored to be there as well. Like all he has to do is just wish to have the knowledge of the next Amber Paragon, and that could possibly work out for him. So he has a contingency plan in place should the Broken Spine Caldera not pan out to be the next location of the Amber Paragon. But he has an ulterior motive to also going to that, is to saving his relationship with his son, whether it be breaking his pact with Calibran, or safeguarding his pact with Calibran to where it benefits him in the long run. Yeah. I haven't decided on how he would go about that, because I know there's ways to not break a pact to still instill a safeguard of sorts, like I said, to where it ends up benefiting him, where he doesn't have to give up his soul, at least.
Yeah.
But but that is his most present heading at this time. Is all the information points that he has at his disposal without Goaty there points to the Broken Spine Caldera. So it's like I got to listen to what the information I have at my disposal, and that says go this way. Whether or not it works out, we'll find out. But I am most excited to find my Mr. Gibbs. I was battling with the idea of whether or not William would have made Xenia or Grendel first mate, but Xenia is too soft. Xenia doesn't have enough experience to command a force, uh, that William would not be comfortable with giving them that responsibility of being first mate. And
Yeah.
Grendel just does not have the capacity to handle that responsibility.
I mean, the first time she was on a ship was when you guys crossed over from Fair Harbors. I mean, that was her first time on a boat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
Godey's been on a ship for a long time and knows like the
yeah
ins and outs, what it takes to run. All of those
the
things.
yeah, and that's why Godey was his first choice for first mate was because he has that prior experience and knows how to run a ship. But given the fact that Godey is now out of the picture and all he's left with is Xenia and Grendel to run a ship, neither one of them are capable of for him to be comfortable with, at least, of taking command. Uh, so therefore, he is going to hire external help to be first mate. So, I'm hopeful. I, as a player, am hopeful that the characters are understanding of William's decision making. But Rogue was in this campaign.
Yeah, so they were on the ship that was stranded on the Dragon Turtle Island, but they weren't able to play once we docked there. So we had like 3 or 4 sessions on the island itself. And they
And
were
that's
here
when
for
William
only,
showed up.
yeah,
Okay.
and Rogue was only there for like 1 session. So yeah, when FaZe died. So you're asking where Rogue is? I assumed that they made it safely to Greenport, found their next job, their next uh, birth,
Contract.
yeah, next contract, or met up with some other crew that they had maybe worked with in the past and then continued on in their adventures. Will we see Rogue again? Maybe.
Sucked
Who
into another
knows?
dimension.
Sucked into another dimension. Yeah, all possibilities. But yeah, I simply assumed that they stayed safe on the ship until everything uh, got taken care of on the island, um, since they were there to begin with. Um, yeah. You have any more questions,
Um,
Tarzan?
I do actually. When this campaign first kicked off, we were thrown a huge curveball with the departure of several cast members uh of the campaign. How how do you go about reworking a campaign to fit the narrative of the remaining characters that continued on with the campaign when several members that presented themselves as being more of a prominent character in the campaign?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most difficult things that I had to adjust to, because I had everybody's backstories, and I was like, okay, here's the main concept, and then you basically start tying little strings to it from each person, and then once those are cut, you have all this filler space of what I do with this. There's all
Mm.
this other stuff that could have influenced it so easily. I think at that point I started turning to NPCs of, okay, who can they meet along the way to fill that gap momentarily and kind of give them the push in the right direction. And when we got new people, it was like, well, how do I make these new characters that didn't have the vast experience of being thrown through, dozens of stories and books in a mythical library? Like, that's like the crutch of the initial boost and push into the campaign to get you interested
Yeah.
and focused. Like, how do I make these new characters care about the Paragon and what it means and what its potential is? And I think it's just sprinkling those things in. It's like William. You find this stuff, and this is a really well known pirate captain's lair, and this was his ship, and this was his artifact, and it's like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Okay, then you get to town, and there's all these, abyssal oozes. Well, that's not, good for business. And I think some of those things wouldn't have happened, I think, as quickly. Those sorts of things were meant to be slow burn and kind of culminate at a later time. However, having new players come in, I had to readjust some of those timelines in order to give them a reason to care. Because if you're in town, you're just having a sandwich and a bunch of stuff comes through, you're going to either like run and hide, take care of yourself, and then start asking the question, where's this coming from? Because I'm going in the opposite direction. That's the idea, And then you see this group, this group of individuals that is fighting back, and one of them uses this really flashy wand, and like, that's cool. Like, where did you get that? And then you just start building interest in other unexpected ways to try to make those new characters care regardless of where they started at. That's at least how I've gone about, integrating those in there. And here we are, you've got William, who was just working ship to ship with a newfound sense of adventure, and now a desire to find these pieces of the Paragon, even though he doesn't know why they need to come together. Maybe it's just curiosity that's driving him. Maybe it's the ambition of treasure and gold. Maybe it's the allure of power and that possible goal of being a pirate lord now, whereas before it wasn't attainable because he didn't have the resources to do so. Yeah. So now he cares about what happens to this, and he's got multiple connections. He's got Caliban, he's got Godi, he's got these pieces of the Paragon. He's not sure how they all fit together, but he knows there's some way that he can use them to forward his goals and take care of his son. That's what I'm gathering from all of that. Xenia cares about animals. Xenia cares about nature. These abyssal oozes, they're eating it. They're eating the weave. They're eating, the rocks.
Xenia cares about balance.
Balance. And there's something that's not right with balance. So I've got to figure out, looks like these people are trying to help and trying to bring that balance back around. I'm going to stick with them for a while and see what happens, because it would seem that they're on the right track. And it kind of looks like they're the only ones doing anything about it right now. There are other people that are doing things about it, but you guys haven't really seen too much of it yet. I'm hoping to kind of weave those things in here.
Seeing Xenia kind of integrate abyssal creatures into the balance of the weave and nature itself is very interesting. Like, I thought 100% that we would be exterminating every aspect of the corruption, be it in the abyssal form. So I thought any animal that had abyssal corruption, that motherfucker's dying. But Xenia's over here fucking taming them and redistributing them throughout the dimensions, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I guess there is some level of purpose of having them in the balance of nature, but it still leaves me on edge, because this motherfucker's at its own free will in the wilderness until Xenia calls on it. So that William's I'll put it out there. William is definitely apprehensive about Xenia taming these creatures and letting them have their own free will until Xenia calls upon them. So, like, that's definitely a point of contention for him. He's like, deep down, he believes that they need to be exterminated, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Xenia is the animal expert, and
yeah, they see the good in everything, and that everything has a purpose, regardless if people think it's unappealing. So I'm curious to see how far Xenia goes with the party towards what they're doing. Basically, I think one of the main things for Xenia, and I can't really speak for their character all the way, but one of the main reasons that they are kind of sticking with the party and that they did get on the boat in the first place was that they let an entire menagerie of animals, like exotic animals, somebody's collection, they broke in to their mansion and set all of them free and put them back in the wild. So Xenia's on a want list for that.
They're a rebellious sort. Okay.
Fortunately, it's on the other continent, and there haven't been posters yet on this continent.
I do have to say the relationship between William and Xenia has been very, very compelling, due to the fact that it provides a level of it does have a level of father and son kind of resemblance to it, where the first son can't do right or something along those lines, especially when it comes to the biological son that is presented, and the father is prostrated in front of that son in a very compromising state, and that adoptive son is just like,
yeah, I haven't done anything to mess this one up, so I'm gonna continue to nurture this. Yeah.
So it was very it was very interesting how we started out the relationship between Xenia and William. This is it was very, I wouldn't say antagonistic, but very very pointed. Like, Xenia would always call out William on his fuck ups, like, don't pick up that fucking cursed coin. It's gonna be nothing but problems. It's don't go seeking out your son. It's gonna cause problems. Don't go fucking calling your son. It's gonna cause problems. And every time William does something that Xenia advises against, it does cause problems. But
it's like he knows what he's talking about.
Right.
Even though he has no social cues whatsoever.
Right. So, like, William has a level of trust for this individual, but even still, like, it's the advice that Xenia provides goes against his natural instinct of being a father. It's like,
yeah.
Had he not met Grayson at Greenport, William would probably be a different fucking character altogether at this point in time. Yeah. I could confidently say if William did not run into Grayson at Greenport, he would be a very more self-centered character right now.
That's another one of those decisions that I left to the flip of a coin and a roll of a die.
Yeah.
Was we're getting into Greenport. I have this character in the background that we haven't really seen, hasn't really been mentioned. William's focused on just getting to port, getting to the next job, or what have you. Do I bring them in or not? And how much do I bring them in? Do I just have him see Grayson on a ship headed out of the town, or do I have them pass each other on the street? Flip that coin. Like,
it was fucking beautiful, man. You did a fucking phenomenal job.
That's it. And that's one of the reasons I like doing that. I hate some of the outcomes that happen because some of my favorite NPCs have been like nixed. but doing something like that gives you the opportunity to do the opposite of what you would normally choose. And so often it makes for such a good story that otherwise would never have happened.
Naturally or otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. I would have never thought to have done some of those things at all.
Yeah, no. And that brings up a good point. Like, when it comes to the NPCs that you've lost so far, would there have been other ways that you would have preferred that they have gone out as opposed to the way that they've gone out? I know a lot of them, or several of them, went out because of William's poor decision making when it came to quarantining.
Let's see. I think the main ones that I'm super upset about are Margaret and Creek. Is there any
Like the what's his name's wife, the shoemaker.
Oh yeah, the shoemaker's wife.
Yeah.
That was difficult.
I felt so fucking bad because I was playing Gorfang, who was just fucking balls to the wall. I don't care. I see a threat. I'm killing everything I see. And he's throwing a fucking trident through a window at this fucking at this abyssal sludge, and it's this dude's wife, and you alluded to the fact that she could be saved, and I'm like, fuck, Gorfang doesn't care about that. Gorfang is gonna kill it. William, on the other hand, probably would have fucking been apprehensive about trying to kill her because they've had some kind of direct interaction between each other. But like, I was like, fuck. I'm over here playing a very cold-hearted fucking killer right now. I'm sorry, but Gorfang is going to kill this woman.
I think the hardest thing for me for that episode, and it was one thing that I wish I could take back, it's a DM regret, is the fact that Taylor had to take Grendel and chop her head off. Like, that almost made me stop and be like, hey guys, we're done for the night. I can't. Because that was a bad choice on my part. Why did I do that? I felt so guilty.
Yeah.
So bad. Because she's like, oh, Grendel wouldn't understand the situation and wouldn't understand that there's a possibility to do something else. Like, there's no other options. This is it.
William's not there to give her the options. Yeah. Goaty was
there. Yeah, Goaty was there.
But Goaty didn't have the information either. I mean, the whole situation itself was bad. We were in the middle of being sieged upon by the warbirds, not warbirds, the wyvern riders.
Yeah.
And
there were wyverns just flying around town. There was still shot being like pelted into the city. There were abyssal oozes crawling around town. Like, it was just a bad situation and highly like adrenaline filled. So I mean, I understand.
We had to save what we could.
Quick decisions, and this how you have to do this. There's no time to sit here and let's take the next hour and figure out how to problem solve this while this lady is like trying to eat her husband. Like, it's not an ideal situation in any sense of the word. It was a big like cluster.
Yeah, it was very. That episode was very contention filled. There was a lot of drama to it, and I loved. Love is a very. I use love in a very situational use. Like, I loved it, but I also hated that episode. Like, it was very. I was very conflicted.
Forward in a very good way, but it was very hard to do. It was very
emotionally.
Emotionally, it was a very difficult episode and session to get through.
But finding out that they're mid Gorfang's onslaught, that there's a possibility that his wife could be saved. I was so conflicted. I was like, I wanted to stop what Gorfang was doing, but Gorfang had no dog in that fight. Yeah, it was just it was glory of battle or glory of death for him.
Yeah.
So I couldn't stop him without the conscience of metagaming and whatnot, and I don't want to do that. But William, on the other hand, if he had the opportunity, if there was an opportunity to subdue the creature and figure out a way to cure her, I think William would have been capable of figuring that out. I mean, he's a very resourceful individual, but he's also very pragmatic, which is also shitty. It's like, do we have time to figure out what is going on and how we can reverse these effects? Probably not. Probably we do. I don't know, but
can we cut off an arm and keep moving? Or do we just end it here? Like, is there a way to solve?
But William, but William narratively was dead in that moment.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Laying in a gutter. Real good.
You mind if we take a quick 5-minute break and then we come back and continue some discussions about other campaigns or more questions about your campaign for the evening?
Yeah, we can take a small break. I probably have to get going here after a little bit, though.
No worries. We'll give it another hour and then call it for a night and pick back up next week. But those of you tuned in tonight, give us about 5 minutes. We'll take a quick bio break and then come back and answer any questions you have in the chat and any other questions you have for the campaigns.
Yeah. Welcome back. I can't hear you.
Shit. Hello, TBD. I had my microphone muted. I'm Daddy Tarzan H245 of the GM of Edge of the Empire Star Wars campaign. With me today is
I'm Chris. I'm the GM of Tales of Arden on To Be Diced. With that being said, let's see what we've got going on next week. We're still to be determined on Frontiers of Eberron, but I do promise it is coming at some point on a Sunday. Tuesday, we have at some point. Tuesday, we got another Edge of the Empire, or
yes. So, if you missed this week's episode of Edge of the Empire, this week,
that stuff.
Go rewatch it because this week's episode was the final conclusion of the Jewel of Yavin campaign arc, which is also the temporary sending off of one of the main cast members' characters for the time being until they get their real life situation figured out. Oho had to make a temporary departure, and his send off was beautifully done. I had him handle the end of the episode as the GM for the sending off of his character because I mean it only felt appropriate. And he did such a phenomenal job with it, along with the introduction of a very, very dangerous character by the name of the lost brother of the Inquisitors. If you haven't been able to keep up with the story arc, I highly recommend that you at least watch the last episode. It will give you a sense of pace for the rest of the campaign, as we are now entering in a open sandbox scene or arc of the campaign where they get to choose where they're going to go on from this point on. Every Tuesday at 8:30 Mountain Standard Time is when we kick off this campaign. So catch us on Twitch at 8:30 Mountain Standard Time. Other than that, we have the Dimensional Dial on hiatus temporarily.
We are running one shots in the previous dimensions. If you watched it up till now, they're running. How many dimensions have you guys gone in? 7?
We're up to the 8th dimension now.
Yeah, so they're running one shots in the 7 dimensions previous. So just little sprinkles of extra stuff that
what's taking place so far. Yeah.
So yeah,
I recommend. Yeah, check it. All of these previous episodes that we're talking about right now can all be found on both our Twitch and YouTube. Primarily YouTube, because Twitch only holds on to so much before they delete it. So you can find all of our past broadcasts on YouTube, from season 1 all the way up to now. There may be some missing episodes because we weren't keeping up on. We were missing some uploads at some point in time when we weren't being as attentive, which we do apologize for. But all the other episodes do make up for it. I promise you. Other than that, Tales of Arden this
next week will not be meeting. I've got a big show coming up, and being up until 3:00 my time will not be conducive to
running a show
at 7:00 and then going until 9:30 or 10 p.m. It's going to be long days.
Yeah.
So that weekend we're off. The next Tales of Arden will be May 23rd, if all of the schedules come together and line up. With having one of our cast members out temporarily, hopefully it's very temporarily, but we understand having 1 or 2 people miss didn't used to be as much of a problem because we could kind of like limp along and do some things around the area that we were in, but having one or two people is almost like having half your people gone. So it's very difficult to move the story forward when that. So
that's why I'm thankful about Edge of the Empires, because it's very, very open to other character influence, which I'm thankful for. Those of you not familiar with Edge of the Empire, it's a narrative-based Star Wars narrative dice system. Granted, there is a primary cast team in place, which is in the format of Rawl, Oho, and Chav, with Oho's temporary removal. It's only going to be Rawl and Chav for the most part, but that leaves room for other NPCs to leave their mark within the campaign of Core Atlas. So I will be making casting calls throughout the weeks to help influence the story along the lines of what's taking place during the canonical timeline between episode 2 and 4, or 2 and 3, because this timeline takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So that's the canonical timeline that we're engaged in right now. There's only a canonical 1 year timeline before the final Death Star's destruction. So we got a lot of ground to cover, which means a lot of characters can be passing through this storyline. So be on the lookout for any casting calls that I put out for any future episodes. That being said, Chris, do you plan on opening up any guest slots for Tales of Arden with the absence of some of the primary cast members?
There is an opening. I usually like running the game max 6. Roleplay wise, it usually doesn't get too clunky, but when you get into combat, it takes a really long time with 6.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it at 5 if I can. Right
That's
now,
That's why I love Edge of the Empire, because it's almost primarily role playing.
Yeah. So right now we're at 4 right now, and we're potentially adding a 5th at the end of May. So
okay.
So we'll be having that. So that slot's kind of filled. But if we ever do run one shots or anything like that in between, sometimes people can't make it and we can't really move the story forward. I usually tend to run a one shot just to fill that slot. Sometimes it's in the world of Arden. Most of the time it is. And sometimes it's just in a different area doing something else that may or may not influence the main campaign in a roundabout way. When we ran, we ran a couple one shots. We ran one shot that was in the past. So, and then we ran another one shot that is present, but we ran it at the Aventurine Academy. So players played a bunch of first year magic students.
Modius.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then it was basically them going to their conjuration class, which took a very interesting turn when it was Mephit summoning day. It was their final exam.
All Mephit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was a really fun one because we played the first half of the session with them as students summoning and dispelling Mephits. And then we played the second half with the players switching sides to the Mephits of like after class is over, the bell rings, all the students leave, and then the Mephits that haven't been dispelled because of some unsuccess or
persistence on the Mephits part.
Persistence on the Mephits part, yes. They are wreaking havoc.
Not Marbeck, Garbuck.
So
Garbuck?
that was a lot of fun to hand the players monster stat blocks and have them run their characters as just the monster stat blocks. It was a really fun change of pace, and they did really, really awesome with that. That is also on YouTube. You should go watch it. It
Oh, yeah,
was
absolutely.
some of Victor's done some fine work. I think
Oh my God.
that was one
I
of
mean,
one of the
Victor
finest.
Victor also calls out my roleplay style whenever it comes to playing NPCs. I like to play very, uh, cowardly NPCs that will run at the first sign of danger,
You did, and you did.
which I did, which I did,
Yeah.
and he called me out for it. It's like, oh, this is a reoccurring theme for you. I'm like, well, when you give me an NPC that's a very cowardly type of demographic, I'm going to play into that aspect.
Yeah.
And Garbuck was a very cowardly mud method, and when you can't distinguish me from the rest of the sludge of mud that's all over the rest of the fucking map, I'm gonna play into that fact and fucking disappear.
Yeah, that was a good one shot. So I typically do things like that if we can't move our main campaign forward.
Yeah.
Just little fun, eccentric things that kind of take the pressure off and just have fun. Not that we're not having fun with the main campaign, but the main campaign right now is very drama heavy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
that's
I
a good.
it starts turning.
That is a good point. For when it comes to casting calls, do you plan on ever expanding your casting calls towards your following on TikTok or any other social media platforms aside from Discord? Because our Discord is very exclusive.
Yeah. It's
whereas
and there's I think there's a few reasons for that. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say because I don't know.
I mean,
For
the answer is the same for the most of us, but yeah.
Yeah, for the main campaign, probably not open casting calls. If things happen and people have to leave, then we'll figure it out.
Right.
And maybe get some other people. But I think for now, Varden is such the necessity to have people at the table that you trust, I think is very important for what Varden is going through right now.
Right.
For
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to put you out on. I'm not trying to put you out on pedestal or anything like that. But like, I'm more so speaking towards the opportunity of being able to experience any other storytelling formats that you're capable of providing, because you are a very extremely talented storytelling individual. Not only from your descriptive storytelling style, but the character creation that you present in your storytelling format. Like Kite, for example, was very viscerally real when we interacted with her. Like, it's just when we interacted with Kite, the I want to say not necessarily like the Alzheimer's or the dementia. It's not necessarily Alzheimer's or dementia that we're dealing with, but more so dissociative perspective that we were interacting with. But you made that dissociative perspective very tangible. And I was wondering if that was something that you would be willing to not expose, but like make available to our viewers for TBD at some point in the future.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very busy right now.
Right.
This is my busy season. And I just had another kid. So I now have 3. I had another kid in November, and that's been taking up a lot of time. 2 was fine. 2 was great. Like, I think back on having 2, and I'm like, oh man, I had so much time. Like, I played Baldur's Gate. I had 2 kids. I have 3 kids. I haven't played video games in 6 months. I was like, why does one more change so much? But yeah, I mean, it changes everything, and I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't have the mental capacity to run 2 campaigns at the same time.
Yeah. That's a
If
bold endeavor for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, if we ever finish, and I'm sure we will, the Tales of Arden Quest for the Amber Paragon, I will do my best to come out with another Tales of Arden campaign, uh, either set at a different time period or a parallel storyline. I'll
Mm.
have to think on that during this time. Just kind of put feelers out there and see what's good. Um, I would like to take a crack at maybe another TTRPG, learn a lot more. That's one thing that I'm really lacking is I
Yeah.
am exclusively D&D oriented, like 5e content. And that is, it's not a bad thing. I enjoy it.
No.
But I'm wondering if there's something else that I would enjoy more. There's, Call of Cthulhu, there's Blades in the Dark, there's a bunch of other stuff. There are modules that you could run for D&D 5e. I don't know. I've started 3 different times listening to 3 different run throughs of Curse of Strahd, and I've only ever gotten
I
like
was
6
I was
episodes
about
in,
to
and then I'm
I
kind
was
of done. I don't know
I was
why.
about to bring that up.
But I'm like,
Chris,
how would I
you
do Curse of Strahd? Like,
right.
I'll have to play it
Yes.
and see.
Yes. That was what I was about to say. Is like, Chris, you running a Curse of Strahd module would be so fucking immersive. I would fucking pay money to run to be a part of that campaign with you as Strahd. I've also considered running it myself on startplaying.games as well, just because there's so much investment when it comes to playing that module. Like you have to invest yourself into the character 100%. Like I mean, it commits a lot of yourself into it because it's chessboard. It's D&D in chess format. So like there's a lot of reward to playing D&D in that format. Is like, and again, it's what a lot of people come into conflict with is the DM versus player mentality. But this is, dude, Curse of Strahd is so much more than just a format that pits players against the DM. It gives you a 3-dimensional format when it comes to the emotional state that your characters are in, the constant subjection of fear that they're pitted against. So it's like you have to think more than just linear with the characters, and with more than just linear with the protagonist. So I would love to run a Curse of Strahd campaign on my end, but Chris, you as fucking Strahd, bro, I'd pay money.
I need to either buy it and read through it and learn it, or just finish like listening to one of them, because I started one and then it kind of fell off and I started listening to something else, and then I was like, I need to go through Curse of Strahd. Like it's something that I want to do.
KJ agrees. They would pay to play Curse of Strahd with you as Strahd. So, Chris, if you put it in your Amazon wish list, I'm sure we'll be able to facilitate getting you the Curse of Strahd book.
Yeah. And then there's other people that like reformat like Curse of Strahd and like do other things with it and add their own things. And I'm like, oh man, am I that comfortable adding things to an already, made module? And then I've heard like other people saying like that some of the things in Curse of Strahd are problematic because of the time period it was made in, and like just like the stereotypes. So like keeping that like
And
balance as well, and making sure that it's
yeah,
still a watchable,
that right.
thing.
And that's when you gotta be adaptive and whatnot.
Yeah.
If I was gonna make Curse of Strahd my own, I would implement Luca, my werewolf character, as the
Mm.
protagonist instead of Strahd, because it kind of still runs along the same storyline as Luca does.
Yeah.
Whereas Luca does end up killing his first fiance due to the influence of his father and whatnot, kind of antagonizing him into believing that, or not antagonizing him, but like setting him up for failure for his first transformation. Because when he was first inflicted with, he doesn't gain control of his lycanthropy for about like 10, almost 15 years.
Mm.
Because it takes time to establish that level of control. But his prior to that, Luca was hiding his lycanthropy from his wife or his fiance, and so he would go on these expeditions on behalf of the sovereignty at during times of the full moon, so that way when he does transform, he'd be off in another land where his fiance would be safe and protected from his wrath. His father, not his biological father per se, it's his father by venom, the werewolf that infected him with lycanthropy, who was guiding him through his path of lycanthropy, misguided him on when the next full moon was scheduled.
Mm.
He told him it was going to be another week later. When it ended up being the week of, he wakes up the morning after of the full moon, covered in the entrails and blood of his own wife next to him. So it was a very dramatic transformation transformation for him, to the point where he ends up embarking on his journey through lycanthropy on his own at that point in time, because he didn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
I think I'd have to read through it and kind of understand what Strahd is about a little bit more, just as a character. But I could, because he
bro,
basically is expanding his
is
realm
it?
of
It's not
what's it called?
it's not necessarily he's expanding it. It's he's
Oh, what are they called?
he.
The lands of something. Shoot.
I know what you're talking about. Realms. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's something realms. Let's see. That's what Doctor
so
Google's for.
but he's not necessarily trying to expand it. He's testing himself against those elements. Because he calls in adventures during times of when he feels most antagonistic.
Hmm.
Because he's been in control of these of the realm of Raven Ravenica.
Yeah, domains of dread.
Domains. There we go.
Remote corner of the Shadowfell. What I could do is run one of my primordial deities, Zion,
Ooh.
as Strahd.
Ooh.
Interesting. Anyway.
Ooh,
Yeah,
shit.
already wheels are turning. Yeah.
But yeah, no, he ends up killing the love of his life because his brother ends up marrying the love of his wife.
That's very similar, because Zion destroyed Maella because he was jealous. That could work.
Listen, you as fucking Strahd,
Hmm.
fucking money. I'm telling you right now. the voices that you come up with as is, you running a primordial vampire being, I can only fucking imagine. Um,
Be good
but
time.
it would be fucking phenomenal. Um, that
Yeah.
being said,
Sorry.
no, you're good. Um, we've talked a lot about Tales of Varden. If you were to ever enter into the realm of Star Wars, what type of character would you be more
Hmm.
geared to play? Because there's so many different types of characters you can play. It's not necessarily Jedi or bounty hunter or whatnot. You can be a scholar type. You can be a, a merchant, so on and so forth. There's various levels of types of characters you can play that are very
Yeah.
adaptable for the type of character you want to play, which I love about the system. It's not you're not reserved to a class per se. You're reserved to your imagination when it
Yeah.
comes to Star Wars and the type of playstyle that you want, which is so much more fun for me.
I
Um,
think I would like to play someone who is caught up in stuff that doesn't really belong there. Like wrong person, wrong place, wrong time, and
right.
just swept up into the adventure and just constantly, I don't belong here.
In
uh,
that in that case, would that be a more of a smuggler type or an archaeological
yeah,
type?
yeah, probably. Uh, Other one that I could probably see playing is like a space pirate.
I guess
Yeah,
by I guess
which
space
kind of falls
pirate opportunities.
into the smuggler realm sort
Yeah,
of thing, which again kind of leads back around to one of the more cliche ones, which is bounty hunter. I mean, you
yeah,
basically, you know, pirate, smuggle, work for Java,
yeah.
hunt somebody down for him, and
I got a small spoiler for the next one of the next upcoming episodes. I do have a guest star position coming up. The character itself is a archaeologist looking to preserve the archaeological structure of the Mandalorian society. So it's a Mandalorian archaeologist, and when he presented that character to me, I was like, I fell in love. I was like, yo, you're playing a character that's of a culture that's naturally war predisposed, but your character himself is more predisposed towards the preservation of the culture and the archaeological design of the Mandalore
yeah,
of Mandalorians. I, I could not be more happier than to have your character involved in the story, 100%. And this is not necessarily an NPC, but a another character that they can have influence the main campaign as much as they want, should they be inclined to do so. But you know that just that basis of character design for me was such a delight to find out that he was wanting to play that character,
yeah,
because you don't get those builder type characters too often, even in D&D. Like
yeah,
it's either they're more geared towards designing or building armor for the rest of the party, or building weapons for the party. But
yeah,
you don't get too often the character that wants to build a fucking society.
yeah. I think that's one of the things that makes Harp on such an interesting character, because you can have like a really flavorful build, or you can like min-max your build. You can like gear them towards something specific. And most of the time it's geared towards combat and getting out of trouble and like
Yeah.
doing that sort of stuff, because that's what a lot of the game is a lot of the times.
Right.
But Harpun was not built for any of that.
Oh yeah.
They were not built.
He got fucked up it.
When we
He got fucked up from
he
the.
was in so much trouble. But out of combat, talking to people, doing those things, that's not what adventuring is about. Like doing the other things was, I think, one of the things that made Harpun such a fun character, not only probably for Victor to play, but also just for everyone else to watch, because you don't see a lot of those characters in D&D. Mostly they're just, you know, super powerful wizards and like main character barbarians and like, you know, the really fun, cool, memorable like things. I think Toro was one of the same ways. Now, was he main character vibes person? Absolutely. Took over every scene he was in.
Yeah. He had the potential for sure.
However, mechanically, he was built as a charisma-based barbarian. Who does that? You know, like it's yeah. So making those decisions, and I encourage anyone that's watching or is rewatching this to make those opposite decisions, because it will open up so much more storytelling. You won't have to rely on strength. Oh, I'm going to just break the door down. You know, as fun as that is, having a 29 strength and just being able to rip doors off hinges whenever you want, I feel like, anyways, and this is just personal opinion, I feel like it's so much more rewarding to make those kind of insane choices with your stats that make you think about your character in a completely different approach, not utilizing your class to its fullest potential, because Toro did. I mean, what was it was a barbarian, bear totem. Basically, he resisted all the damages except for psychic. So he maximized that portion of his character, and he was strong. And but yeah, I encourage people to do that. Maybe not with all your characters, but just try it once and see what happens in your game. Hopefully you have a DM that doesn't just go, oh, I'm going to take advantage of this and really screw over your character because you don't have this anymore.
Listen, KJ, first off, you made Petrichor 4 fucking classes. It's like you need to split up your character, because one, you're playing 2 different characters in one character. It doesn't make sense, and you're splitting so much of your resources to where you're becoming slightly ineffective overall.
But yeah, so one of the ideas that I've had is making a strength-based rogue. Like usually they're dex-based, but make a strength-based rogue. Like, what would that look like? It probably look very close to what Toro looks like. Very Peaky Blinders, very, you know, roll up your sleeves and get in there.
Yeah, so, you have to meet Gimli one of these days. Gimli Stoneguard is my strength-based rogue. He's a enforcer type. He's not necessarily the stealthy kind of guy, but he has a dagger and he has a hammer. The hammer is his primary weapon, but he'll use the fucking dagger to, you know, shiv somebody real quick.
Shiv somebody, break their kneecaps. I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, making some of those like not controversial decisions, but just more thematic decisions, rather than I'm going to use my stats to get, you know, the upper hand. Absolutely do that. You don't want to get screwed over with sucky rolls when, you know, somebody's trying to banish you or you're trying to make a wisdom save. That sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, a charismatic barbarian, that's just such a weird concept, but it works. Or
it does. Know, with the way that Victor plays it, 100%. Yeah. And that's the one thing I love about Star Wars: Edge of the Empire, is that you're not beholden to a certain class. Your characters you can personalize your character 100% of the time. Whatever features and attributes that you want for your character in Star Wars: Edge of the Empire, it doesn't penalize you in any shape or form. Your character is completely piecemeal, 100% the whole fucking
Awesome.
time, and it's really nice because you can create these very unique characters with these multi-class options that you have at your disposal. The only penalization that you get is you're spending slightly more experience points on classes or on talents and perks that aren't necessarily part of your original career skill, but that's not like it's not deal breaker. Whereas if you choose to go multi-class, 3 classes with a character of rogue, barbarian, and fucking warlock, you're once you hit level 20, that's fucking it. That's all you got. So you have to be very sparse of what you choose to level up in with those 3 classes. Whereas Star Wars or Edge of the Empire, you can multi-class in so many different fucking career fields.
Yeah,
because it's a constantly developing character. As long as your character is still alive,
builds on everything else that comes before it. That's really nice.
So it's a very extremely unique character experience that you're getting out of Edge of the Empire.
So
charisma-based cleric. Oof.
I thought of another possibility for Star Wars character. This was one I ran a few one-shots back in my day. I ran a few one-shots when we were on hiatus from Tales of Varden for a little while. Some were in Varden, and every once in a while we did Star Wars 5e. And the pilot that the crew had is probably the person that I would really like to play. They were a reprogrammed and minimized version of an Empire droid. It's basically an Empire assassin droid that is
the K2.
Let me try to find a picture. I don't have my phone. It's on my phone.
What was the inspiration for the character? Was it an HK series droid?
I don't know. Let me see if I can find. Let's see.
So the one character, the one NPC that I'm so stoked to play right now from Star Wars is Dia's droid NPC that she managed to build since the start of the campaign. And it's an HK series droid. Built up from the ground up. HK201 nomenclature Uno. The dude is a fucking menace. Once you get him on the battlefield, he's a fucking menace. But he operates as he can operate as a basic level slicer and investigative supplementer. Like the dude can help you find information on your targets and whatnot, and help you set up for an assassination attempt and whatnot. So
okay. I found it.
Uno's a lot of fun. Ooh, what do we got?
It's a K2SO droid.
Yep. But K2 droids.
Instead of being the 6-7 foot tall, he's only 2 feet tall. He's reprogrammed, and his designation is CR4-T3, also known as Crate.
I like it. I fucking like it.
So reprogrammed little guy.
That's like graded. That's like my automaton graded cheese.
Yeah.
GR8.
Yeah.
GR8 CHZ. Graded Grated cheese.
Yeah.
GR8TD hyphen CHZ. The official designation is what is it? Shit. I have the official designation, but Grated Cheese is one of my favorite fucking characters because I mean I designed him explicitly to be a fucking an NPC, but right. So the official designation is Gnomish Rogue Model 8 Delta, chassis model humanoid, personality type Z. So GR8D is the first half, and then CH for chassis humanoid, and then personality type Z cheese. So GR8D cheese, rated cheese.
I love it.
He's canonically the emotional support droid or emotional support automaton for Alfie, but Alfie's been out of the picture for Frontiers of Eberron for quite some time. So what Grade Cheese has been up to this whole fucking time, I have no idea. But this dude is a fucking menace.
Got a
He
mountain of cheese.
Oh no, this dude has the chef feat, so he creates charcuterie boards on a regular basis to help supplement the team. He will poison you with wine that he distills on his own because he has a brewer's kit.
he's Bender from Futurama brewing
100%.
brewing beer inside.
Bender as an assassin. 100%.
I like stealing. I like taking things.
he's Bender with a with a murderous personality. Like you've offended my master. Prepare to die. In your sleep, by the way. But Grated Cheese, one of the few NPC characters that I've created that I have been dying to fucking play so fucking bad. I want to play this character so fucking much because he would be so fucking fun. Because one, he's not necessarily a kiosk gremlin, but the minute that you present yourself as an obstacle to the party, he's dealing with you. You're a problem. Okay. Don't worry, Master. Rest up. Enjoy this board of cheese and wine that I have prepared for you. I will be back in a few hours. Do not worry.
Don't ask questions either.
Don't ask questions. I'll be back. You won't know that I'm gone because I'm that fucking stealthy. And he's also built to be a fucking personal lie detector too. His insight is insane. He has expertise in insight, which gives him a +8. Once he hits level 12 or 13, reliable talent can't roll below a fucking 18. This is for insight. So, like, this bitch is a full-on lie detector test.
Man.
But Great Cheese, one of my.
Why is your heart rate increasing, and why are you sweating?
Your pheromone levels are increasing, which suggests that you're inclined to mate with this female-presenting humanoid before you. Would you like to keep that a secret, or would you like to die tonight? But Grated Cheese, one of my favorite characters. I would love to portray in an actual campaign-based setting. But
well, we did a Victorian steampunk series when we were on our hiatus with Victor, KJ, Lim, and Oz. Right? Was it Oz? I think it was Oz. And it was a lot of fun. I think it was like 4 or 5 sessions long. Basically a big haunted house with, but it was set 400 years in the future of Varden, where
Ooh.
it was like steam powered machines. There's cars. There's
Yeah.
automatons. It was only 3 sessions long. It seemed so much longer. It seemed like it was four or five. Man, we had a lot of fun.
That's a
So
good
much
question.
fun that I thought it was
Well, that actually brings up a good point. Do you have any DMPCs for Tales of Arden?
DM PCs, like to
Yeah.
put in with the party. I don't like playing DM PCs. Like if the party wants to take somebody along, that's up to them. But I have kind of decided, just because heard so many horror stories of people putting their DM PCs in and just basically taking over the story
Yeah.
and like just railroading the heck out of it because they
Yeah.
have all the information, that I try not to, unless the party specifically says, hey, you're coming with us, we want you here. I will like put one in, and if they want me to do something, then that's great. I think the one that I ran the longest was Corellian, uh,
Ooh.
because I mean it was technically a DMPC because he was showing the party around town. He was in a couple of the fights as well, so I had to run him in a couple of the fights, as a turn. So
Yeah.
I guess there has been a DMPC, and it was Corellian. But
Okay.
that's how I would run a DMPC. Very background. I don't want them making any big decisions. I don't want
Right.
them, you know, if they ask, the DMPC their opinion, they're going to give it, obviously.
Right.
And if that's an opportunity to point the party in the right direction because they're completely faced against a wall, then that's a great opportunity to do that. But
Right.
I don't ever see myself injecting somebody into the party and just being like, here, you have this now. It just doesn't seem very
Right. Right.
fun for everybody,
So I will admit I do have a character DMPC character in the format of Galt Renown, but he is a very very background based character.
Is this
Um,
Edge of the Empire?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the smuggler that manages to get the type of equipment that the party is looking for at
Yeah.
a cost. Like the equipment that you want that's really hard to get, he can get it. It's going to be expensive as shit, though.
Yeah.
Like
I
it,
think because that you were running a module, right? The Jewel of Yavin. I
Jewel of
think,
Yavin's over, but overall, yeah,
yeah,
when they interacted with him, yeah,
I think for a module that you want to keep on track and you want to get through it, I think having a DMPC kind of facilitates some of the more what's the word? The mundane,
blinders.
yeah, kind of the mundane things like acquiring things or like doing small tasks and things like that. Instead of having your PCs do that, having DMPCs do some of those things to facilitate the story beat and moving the story forward and let the players focus on that. I don't
Yeah,
I don't see a problem in having a DMPC in there with that. And even to help um like in a more difficult fight, this fight's going to be difficult, and that it's a very likely that there's going to be a TPK. Maybe giving them one extra person, maybe. uh I had thought about it when it came to the Hydra fight, because we cut off like halfway through. That Hydra fight spanned 2 whole sessions. It was crazy. I
it
thought
was
about,
looking rough.
yeah,
It was looking really rough.
I thought about sending like 4 or 5 Stone Guard in. I mean, like, here, go through the portal and help them because they're dying.
Yeah, it was looking
You guys
really
hold it
rough,
out
and
there.
then Yeah, no, I realized fighting being consumed by the Hydra was frivolous at that point. Killing him from the inside was probably going to be the most beneficial. And that's when I was like subjecting my, or that was when I ended up getting consumed by with Luna. And I was like, all right, I can do the most damage from the inside of this fucking creature because one, he's no longer invisible to me at that fucking point. Granted, I'll be fighting at disadvantage the whole fucking time, but if I'm dropping fire bombs in this motherfucker's stomach, there's no fucking dodging that. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. I just have to not roll below the minimum to stay alive as a fucking undead character.
Yeah. So it's amazing what happens when you have 2 weeks to plan in between sessions.
Yeah.
This is our situation. What do I have? Instead of in the moment just being like, I shoot it.
Yeah, William's undead feature definitely came in clutch from my strategic standpoint in that fight. It was like, all right, I need to take advantage of the fact that the fact that the Alchemist Fire only does 1d4 damage, the likeliness of it killing me outright, very minimal. Very minimal unless I roll a natural 1. Yeah. That's the only way that it would kill me. Because it's a plus 8 plus it's an 8 plus the damage that you sustain after going down. So it's 1 to 4 plus 8. So as long as I don't roll a fucking natural 1, because my constitution for William is fucking high as shit, I think I should be good. But yeah, no, that situation, I was like very, very self-sacrificial in that moment. I was like, William, if he goes outside this creature again, the likeliness of him being able to keep his perspective on it without having to do a wisdom save, or while doing a wisdom save, very low. Yeah. His wisdom is too low to maintain the probability of being able to see this creature, so he has to fight this creature from the inside.
Yeah.
So
staying alive in stomach acid, much higher probability than being outside. Which is crazy.
Being chomped on. Right. Being chomped on was way more of a risk than just fucking setting himself on fire, which is so fucking weird. Like how
way to beat that thing.
Right. It's such a weird circumvention. It's like, yes, this motherfucker has a what was his bite attack? At least 12 damage piercing? At least?
Yeah, it was like 11 piercing.
11 piercing at minimum for his bite attack. Yeah, whereas if I just
so it was like all the time.
Yeah. Right. So whereas if I just stay in his stomach, it's what? A D3 or not D3, D6 of fucking it was D4 for stomach or for acid damage?
No, for acid damage, it was 11 points of acid damage.
Okay.
Let me try to pull that up here. I can tell you for sure. I think it was like 19 points of piercing damage and then like 10 points of acid. But that was at the end of your turn.
Oh.
Let me see.
So William had like multiple chances to fucking fail his constitution save to stay alive as a zombie.
Yeah.
No, that fight had me on the edge of my seat the entirety of the fucking fight.
Good. 2 whole sessions.
That shit. I'm not gonna lie. I thought we were gonna die. I was like, I had little hope left. I was like, if anything's gonna save our asses right now, it's whatever Goaty has left in his fucking bag of tricks, which I don't think he has much left of. And on top of that, he ended up having to leave in the middle of the fucking fight.
Yeah. You guys went down into the mines after that. Oh man.
Yeah, he managed to stick around long enough to finish off the Hydra, but we still had a whole another fight to fucking stick out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, William was like, "We've done enough. We need to fucking bail because I got nothing left in reserves." William was like, "I'm tapped," but Cody was like, "We still have more to do," and William was like, "All right, fuck, shit."
Yeah, it was 19 points of piercing and then 11 points of stomach acid.
Oh shit! 11.
Each of the Hydra's turn, so the Hydra would be doing that.
So that's why it wasn't.
Turn. Yeah, it wasn't as often. It wasn't every single turn or everybody's turn. That would
have fucked everybody up for sure.
Yep, for sure.
But yeah, no, that shit got hairy so fucking quick. And then when you kept alluding to the fact that Luna's gauntlet was glowing throughout the entirety of the fight, I was like, I'm pushing you the fuck out of this motherfucker's stomach. If you don't use that fucking gauntlet, I'm going to kill you. And then I'm going to take that gauntlet and use it on this fucking thing.
I'm going to throw it in the stomach and see what happens.
Right. The gauntlet's telling us something. Use it, or I'm going to kill you. When you come back down here with me while I'm on fire. Yeah, no, that shit was wild, man. That being said, how do you go about adapting to the current storyline that you have in your head to the storyline that the players end up following? That's not part of your plan.
One session at a time. That's honestly the only way to do it right now.
Yeah.
Because especially right now, it's kind of hard to bring the pace down to a rest and downtime, which was entirely needed. Party's been going crazy.
Yeah.
And then trying to find a way to ramp up again into the next arc and which direction they take it. I have things in place for people's backstories. So there's different kind of triggers for some of those things that come up. So when those kind of get hit or stumbled upon, then that kind of launches us into something else. It's difficult right now, I think, for me to really plan too far ahead. I have a few things which I have introduced, one of them being the individual that Harpon and Lady Opal tried to stop in the carriage. So that's kind of a foreshadowing of a character that hopefully comes back around later. So there's that, just kind of sprinkling in little questions about them. But the party seems very intent on going a very specific direction right now. And I've asked you a couple times, even today in this conversation, what William intends to do or find in that. But yeah, that's really my entire question is like, what has led the party to go in this direction? I'm not opposed to it, and it works, and I will make it work. I want the party to do what they want to do and influence what they want to influence. And I don't want to dissuade them from doing that in any sort of fashion.
Right.
So it's up to me as the DM to bring the story around to you all, and how I do that. That's going to be the interesting part to
Right.
figure out. Um,
And to plan the other plot hooks for it. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, so how do I adapt to that, and how do I help make that interesting? Because you are making decisions, and I want those decisions that you make mean something. I don't want you to get there and for it to be an empty closet. For
Right.
you to open the door and go, "Oh, what's this super interesting
But
thing? Oh, it's not interesting. Oh, okay."
but that also can provide a major like cliffhanger for the
Yeah,
parties.
you
Like
get there and you're like, "This is it. Let's go." Oh, we spent all this time and resources and energy to get here,
and the
and
rest of the
there's
world progressed.
yeah, yeah. So right now, the cult of Vorak Ball is like took a huge hit. They're regrouping.
Yeah.
The longer you guys take doing something else, the more time they have to recollect themselves. The
No,
more
no,
time you
yeah.
guys take doing something else, the more time the rest of the Midnight Court has to move pawns and pieces around. So yeah, time is a very valuable commodity in
Yeah.
situations like this.
I,
Um,
I like I like that aspect. It's like the strings that we chase or follow, or the paths that we follow, they may sound appealing, but they can very well end up being not fruitful at all, and
mm,
that gives the enemy the leg up that they need to get ahead of the party. So
yeah,
like I'm all about actions and consequences. Like
yeah,
the actions that I take that William takes in an attempt to stop what is transpiring when it comes to the cult of Vorak Ball and the plans that the sovereign seems to have in alignment of Vorak, the cult of Vorak Ball, whether it's intentional or unintentional. Williams fully intended on trying to stop it and whatnot, just out of self preservation, not just self preservation, but to the protection of his wife
mm,
and his son. Like it, sure, it may not directly affect him, but it will affect his son and his wife at some point in time. So that is his main driving force. But but yeah, the actions and consequences aspect of your campaign is what really draws me to
yeah,
continuing that story arc. Is like William makes this decision, but how does that affect the overall picture?
yeah. And I think that answers your initial question um, of 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 the story that I have in mind is basically what I have are clocks that are turning, and
Yeah,
you guys do something like this downtime that we had 3 weeks. I go to all those little clocks and go, okay, 3 weeks forward, what would the Myriad be doing? What would Scarlet Brotherhood be doing? What would the different factions be doing? Like in these 3 weeks of moving things around and gathering things.
I I
What
have
is
to
the Midnight
say
Court
I
doing?
am
What is this system doing?
so fucking nervous about what the Scarlet Brotherhood has been up to since the revelation of Godey. Since the revelation of Godey, like William has been on edge because of the interaction with Gunny and him. It's like,
Mhm.
oh fuck, they know Godey's alive and Godey is a deserter in the eyes of the Scarlet Brotherhood. What the fuck do I need to do? I vouched for him verbally. That William knows that's not enough.
Yeah.
Just vouching for a deserter verbally is not enough.
Yeah.
But you
So the
know,
fact that he's not with you when you go to Rivermouth Pier is probably a good thing.
oh shit!
Uh,
Oh no! I forgot about that part. But that is a good point. He's not there, so he's less. likely to be subjected to the punishment. Okay. All right. All right. I'm still fucking scared, but you know, that's a good.
Uh,
That leads up to one of my other questions before we wrap up. If there's an do you have an NPC that within your campaign that has interacted with the main cast of Tales of Arden? Had they been given the chance, would they have had a different career after the interaction with the main cast?
So has them interacting with the party changed the course of their life?
Right. And if they were to survive the onslaught of Greenport or the tragedy that happened at Embershard, would that have allowed them to embark on the on the journey of their dreams to the dream job that they wanted?
There was one person that I can think of that was really impacted by the party, and that would be the little halfling girl in Fair Harbor. So this was before you had joined the campaign, I believe.
Okay.
It might have been the very same episode that you brought Mordai in on, because it was Grendel helping this little halfling girl find her parents or her.
Yep, I remember that. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
So that
Mordai was there.
That would have definitely changed the direction of her life. And I think interacting with the party benefited her in that situation. I think if the party had not been there, she could have been growing up in a different direction. There's not another NPC that I can think of that completely changed their life around. And I can Grayson. I mean, Grayson is, but he didn't really. He's not really changing his direction. He is still
finding a new purpose.
He's got a new purpose, but he's continuing his career. At the end of your letter that you received from him, it said Commander Grayson Powell.
Yeah. He's still beholden.
Grayson Powell, commander of the Sovereign's Pride. Like, he still holds on to that title. So he's still continuing that career path.
That legacy, yeah.
One person that I would say really changed career paths are both, which is interesting, both of Michael's characters, by interacting with the party. His bard that he started with, basically left the party because he's like, you guys are crazy. I'm in way over my head. I don't want anything to do with this. I thought I wanted to adventure. I do not. He's like, if this is adventuring, I don't want any part of it.
That's the same character that was with Mordai, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The same episode, at least.
Then no, because then he played Quill, which was his astral elf, and that was the same one as Mordai, because he kept switching because he was unavailable pretty inconsistently. So he wanted a character that could hop in and out without needing to be there for the story. So his astral elf was like a wild magic sorcerer. So when things went wrong, he'd pop into the dimension of Varden, and then when his time was up, he'd just disappear into the astral sea again, and then just pop in again when something else went wrong. With his experiments on his Spelljammer, he'd be like messing with stuff and something explodes and he's back in Varden. He's like, ah, crap. Well, I'm here for a reason. Let's see what there is. That was
How
really
convenient.
cool.
How convenient. I like it.
That was a really cool character concept, I thought. But his other character that changed course was Solomon.
Right.
Solomon was gun-ho,
That
magisterium, yes, sir, operative. And at the end, he's just ripping off his signet and throwing it on the ground and stomping it in the dirt and be like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm done.
which solidified William's belief that the sovereign had some kind of hand in the current events that are going on right now. It's like,
Yeah.
Grayson, don't trust the sovereign because they're up to something.
Yeah.
They have a hand in all these events that are going on right now. So
I
that
wouldn't
that
say that it changed their career, but interacting with at least William is what made Baddock reconsider his idea of performing or getting help to perform the resurrection ritual.
yeah.
So I mean, that's a very big decision. It is life changing, but it's not
Yeah.
career changing. So it's not really
Right.
answering the question.
Yeah. No.
But yeah,
I
it was a very
I was
big decision that
surprised.
changed.
I was surprised by that decision because like William was kind of like holding on to that belief or that selfishness of wanting to hold on to your child and was
Mm,
expecting Baddock to go through with that decision.
mm,
Uh, he didn't want to admit that he had that selfishness in him, which is why he was very apprehensive about fully answering Baddock's questions about that
mm,
aspect. It was just like he 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 knew Baddock needed somebody strong to help guide his decision making, but William was also very weak in that moment,
mm.
but chose to give very calculated answers to maintain some level of strength in
Yeah.
his eyes. So, in a way, he felt the same way as Baddock did, but his calculations of that interaction made him say otherwise.
Mm.
Had he done like had he done a insight check on William, probably would have seen right through his fucking guys. But
Mm.
it was
Is
a
there
very emotional interaction between the two of them for sure.
Are there any NPCs in your campaign that have been influenced greatly by Core Atlas, or are they just such chaos murder hobos that is like
So far, so far, I was expecting a lot more death from Core Atlas.
yeah,
Despite the fact that
their
their
casualties have
benefactor,
been very minimal.
right, their benefactor was very explicit about them minimalizing the amount of combat or the amount of death that they dolt out throughout the galaxy, and they've been good about that. But Killbolt, their benefactor, was explicit about trying to maintain distance from the ISB agent known as Sector Full as much as possible. Uh, Granted, she became very aware of Core Atlas's presence on Bespin due to a series of very poorly timed checks and whatnot as they conducted their investigations. Um, she became aware of them and their actions at the government network facility just made it very much clear to her that they are a very prominent figure piece on the chessboard that is to not dolt, but like educate the punishment on Morris Grayson, the imperial bureaucrat that's been the figurehead of this auction for an illegal for illegal contraband. So I'm interested how the relationship between Zekrafol and Core Atlas and Killbolt progresses, because Zekrafol is the more financial focused aspect of the law of the Empire, whereas Killbolt represents the CIA. So Zekra is the IRS, and Killbolt is the CIA. So there are points in time where you can pit the IRS against the CIA because of their actions. And this type of situation would very much warrant a IRS versus the CIA kind of scenario. Why are you dedicating resources to conducting espionage on a illicit product in the black market? What is your plan? How do you plan on utilizing it to benefit the empire? Oh, you're not planning on utilizing this for the benefit of the empire. What is your true plan? So I'm interested in seeing how that relationship between the financial district of the ISB and the shadow organization of the ISB interact with each other. That's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Like, and so far, they seem very beholden to the shadow organization of the ISB, but they still have that connection to the IRS.
Yep. I'm excited to see where all of our different games and campaigns go as we move forward.
We got a lot ahead of ourselves here.
Yep.
With TBD.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think that's where we'll kind of wrap up for this evening. Thanks everybody for coming by and watching some TBD talks, and we'll see you next time.
Catch all our past broadcasts on YouTube at TB Dice Adventures. Keep up on our social media platforms, primarily TikTok. Keep track of when our scheduling programs are at. I will primarily be the one that announces our weekly slates. But next week, only Edge of the Empire and the one shots for for Dimensional Dial will be going on, as Chris will be busy with his pottery event. So keep that in mind for next week. Other than that, stay tuned. We'll be more than happy to put on more shows for you guys. We are 2B Dice Adventures. Chris, take us out.
We'll see you guys. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.